All right. Hi, everybody. This is me again, Bonnie O'Connor. And, well, now you see why my profile has me with red hair, because Ariel's been my favorite Disney princess. And, joining me today is a movie fan from the movie universe, and,
Hey.
um, and Joshua Oro from Mustang Reviews.
Mustang Prince Oro reports, that is. And hey, everybody.
My bad, sorry. So, not sure how to start this one. I'm thinking between quoting what the Animaniacs said about reboots, or Saber Sparks, a quoting Saber Sparks song about reboots. You know what? Why not? I don't have the lyrics for the Animaniacs one, but here's my favorite line from it. There's no need to feel frustrated. Simply just regurgitate it, recycle it, and rehash.
Gee.
Or
Rebooted.
Yeah. Or a Saber Sparks clever song for reboots done to the parody of Part of Your World. We're ready to make what's already there. It might be sacred, classic tradition. To be honest, I guess we don't. What's the word? Care.
Gee.
So true.
So yeah, this is basically going to be about reboots. And well, originally I was thinking about talking about Disney reboots, because let's be honest, there's way too many of them. But well, with Hollywood also coming out with reboots, also to a point where you know what, I am adding this. Well, let's see if I can add it. I don't know. Maybe I can't. To a point where people are putting up the Shrek 2 meme of of somebody shouting, "Could you not reboot? Could you not reboot something, please, for 5 minutes?"
Or maybe 5 years.
5 years.
That would help.
Yeah, because when it comes to doing something like that, you need time to plan it out, as Bonnie said in our collaboration together.
Which, by the way, check it out when you get the chance. I am going to put a link down below. When we're done with the live stream, please check it out when you can. In the meantime, I want to hear what you guys think. What are your overall thoughts of reboots in general? It doesn't have to be Disney. I mean, it could be Disney, it could be not Disney. We're covering both. So, who wants to go first about your thoughts on reboots?
Let's see. How should I? Movie fan, what do you say?
Well, I say reboots, to me, they're just essentially remakes. It's the same thing, different title. They just have the excuse that it's a reimagining. So that's always been my take on it. I mean, sure, the reboot line is here to stay, but to me, it's just a new way of calling it a remake. And with me, remakes have never been, they've never been my best friend. We're natural enemies in the wild, as far as I'm concerned. Remakes and me. But there are exceptions. I can't deny the truth. There are a few exceptions, but they're kind of few and far in between to me. But, you know, if I do see something that looks like it's worthwhile, I'd be willing to give it a chance. But I don't know. Sometimes, you know, my I haven't used this joke in years. My movie sense starts tingling and it tells me, bleh, bad one, you know? So, yeah, that's kind of where I stand on that subject at the moment, for starters. So
That's fair. What was that?
That was just a random notification on my phone.
Oh, okay.
You see that my laptop had to get a little update and got rebooted, so I had to like reinstall certain things on my internet browser. So,
Rebooted.
well, these kind of reboots are necessary sometimes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Like which
they
ones?
are.
Well,
Just-
say they're like if there's a bug or an update, those are necessary.
That's
Definitely.
fair.
But anyway, we're not talking about computer reboots. We're talking about movie reboots. So let's continue.
Personally, for me, it's a mixed bag. Some reboots I'm okay with, others are guilty pleasure, or others I think are just below par.
Yeah.
Like really below par. Like along the lines of things like, was that really necessary to make? Was that really necessary to to waste millions of dollars on, or whatever millions you have? Or sometimes delivering a surprising change or a surprise in it. One of the reboots that we're all talking about, which for some reason hasn't come out yet, is the Ten Commandments versus the Prince of Egypt, which in a slight way is kind of a reboot. And well,
in a way.
But you know what? While we're kind of on the topic of Disney, how do you think Disney reboots have been so far? And be honest, it's okay.
Well, a few of them kind of are guilty pleasures. I do admit the best ones would have to be The Jungle Book from 2016, Aladdin 2019, Christopher Robin 2018, and of course, lately, The Little Mermaid 2023. Well, while The Lion King may be a mixed bag, it does have some different moments and, I mean, new moments, which is nice and all. And 101 Dalmatians 1996 is just a bit silly. It's just a dog version of Home Alone.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of is, isn't it?
Writer of Home Alone.
As for the sequel, 102 Dalmatians, well, I heard some people like it. I mean, it feels like an original story.
I've never
That's
seen
one of
it.
the few I haven't seen yet, believe it or not. I don't know why.
Well, it's not too late, though.
No,
As for Cruella, that one's pretty interesting, though. And what else? Sorcerer's Apprentice, that could never top the Fantasia segment.
It never will.
No.
Yeah.
No, never. I don't care what they say. It'll never top that. A for effort, though.
Right. And Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland, well, it's more like a standalone follow-up to the Lewis Carroll story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since they did mention that Alice has been to Wonderland before when she was young.
My only gripe was why a chosen one story.
Yeah, understandable, but
because
when calendar says that.
When I went to see it, I was expecting what we got from Christopher Robin, a childhood calling back to Alice and helping her grow up, but also stay a child.
Yeah. But believe it or not, and I don't think I've told you guys this before, but Alice in Wonderland 2010 was my first experience with IMAX 3D.
How'd that go?
Well, seeing these red knights poke their spears through the screen, that's pretty, whoa, man.
I know what you mean.
Yep. Yeah. Too bad a lot of movies don't try to put real effort into the 3D. That's why the fad is pretty much done, you know?
But also, one thing that kind of surprised me when I blogged that film a few years ago, Tim Burton hates cats.
Oh, the irony.
He hates the animal in general. like he probably didn't like the fact that it featured a Cheshire cat.
That would explain why Cheshire Cat looks creepy in this one.
And horrifying. A lot more than usual.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just can't believe he would pull up that the Cheshire Cat would be like a Dr. Seuss character.
Yeah.
If you don't know what I mean, he borrows Hatter's hat.
Yep.
Oh,
That's it.
Which would make him the Cheshire Cat in the Hat.
that's a movie I'd watch above the actual 2003 Cat in the Hat.
Yeah, but first we
I
gotta
don't wanna
wait
think
for
about that.
WAG to make their own animated take on it, though.
And
That's where
that is a movie
Yeah.
that could be rebooted. Just needs to be animated at least.
Right,
Yeah,
because of
it would
one
help.
certain rule now. Audrey Geisel, may she rest in peace, has banned all of her husband's stories from live action after what happened with Mike Myers.
Yeah, can't say I blame her after that.
So we got to thank her for that. Even though I
Yep.
did like The Grinch with Jim Carrey.
That's still
Oh, that
good. I
one
don't
was
care what anybody says. There's nothing wrong with that.
And
Except
be
for the adult
honest-
humor, maybe.
Right.
To be honest, I didn't care for the animated reboot in 2018. Benedict Cumberbatch is a really good actor, but it was so
He's
generic and the motivation didn't make sense anymore. I mean, I got what the motivation was in the animated short and in the live action. There was the motivation didn't really make sense in the animated movie.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Heck, I would watch Halloween Night as Grinch Night over that, and that's not my favorite one at all. It really isn't. At least you got, like you said, the motivation's there. I mean, it's pretty straightforward as to what he's trying to do in that one, at least. And plus, I'm sorry. I mean, I like Benedict Cumberbatch. Well, Batch. I'm sorry. I always say it that wrong way. But, I like him too. He's a good actor. I mean, he was great as Smaug. He was perfect there. But this just wasn't for him. This just wasn't for him. That's just it.
Right.
It really wasn't.
But still, Benedict Cumberbatch can never top Richard Boone, the original Smaug.
Okay.
Well, maybe just one line. Maybe just one line when he flies off saying, "I am fire. I am death."
Actually think everything
Well,
for him was
well,
awesome.
like in the book, Smaug is an explainer.
Yeah. Yeah,
That does
that's what I mean. They work so
sense.
well when he says it,
And
But yeah, that's true too.
I can't help but love every moment he was on screen and just the way he talked.
Yeah.
So I swear Hollywood do not get any ideas about rebooting the Hobbit series or Lord of the Rings. I swear, if you do that,
Peter Jackson will be suffering if that happens.
Fans will be suffering big time.
Heck, reboot Narnia. I mean, I've heard they're rebooting Narnia, and honestly, that's the series that needs rebooting. I mean, because as good as the first two movies were, I think the third movie was, it botched a lot in there. Like the Duffleputts are not funny. They're supposed to be funny. And Green Smog, seriously? What about just adventure out at sea and finding the 7 missing lords? What happened to that? And seriously, how many times is the White Witch not going to be dead?
Yeah, good point.
They should have kept her out of it. She was not part of that.
I mean, with Prince Caspian, I forgive that because
the possibility was there.
Yeah, it was in the books that they were going to try and bring her back, but they failed.
Exactly. Yeah. They just made it more dramatic.
White Witch in the books whatsoever, and even if there was, the motivation in there didn't make sense.
No.
So, yeah, I want to see that. I want to see a better done version of Voyage of the Dawn Treader. I want to see a better done version of the Silver Chair than the BBC version did.
Oh, that was so boring. I want
to see the rest of the books. I want to see the last battle.
I want to see the Magician's Nephew.
Yeah. So Hollywood, reboot that one. I know that you're doing it, but that also brings up the question. I mean, it brings up a good question as well. Um, when rebooting a series, what should be focused on?
Right. What else is going on? Well, I don't know if you guys have heard that the Percy Jackson is going to be rebooted as a series on Disney Plus, and I think that seems like a better route than just 2 movies.
And I'm
I didn't
almost
bother them,
wondering
so
if,
I can't venture any
I'm almost
opinions.
wondering if series should actually start doing that more often. And by the way, to catch you up on the Percy Jackson one, even the author himself said that the movies were an absolute insult. All he had to do was read the script and know that it was awful and that it was going to be a complete failure.
Well, the author
And
should
that
have
he
been
insulted everything that he wrote.
the author should have been on as an advisor.
Yeah.
Well, I think they kind of were. I don't remember if they were doing that. They were emailing him so much, but they failed to. I mean, they failed to listen to him. They failed to follow his advice. It was just they didn't care.
Never fails. It never fails. This kind of thing happens all the time. It goes back, way back to when they first started, making movies based off of books with the author still alive. This happens more than you think. Heck, with Jaws, although that movie is a classic, it was done well. Peter Benchley, yeah. He did not like some of the things that Spielberg did. In fact, he got into such huge arguments with Spielberg that finally he just kicked him right out of the studio. True story.
I know one of the arguments that they went over was the climax. Because Peter Benchley was staunchly saying sharks are not going to blow up just by shooting at a tank in its mouth, and that they're not even going to eat those things.
And also, I don't think many people realize that great whites actually do have the ability to launch themselves out of the water in order to catch a meal.
Well, they do now.
Right.
Thanks to all those Air Jaws videos, which I am so sick and tired of seeing every year on Shark Week. I mean, they got 25 of them now at least. It's like, really? Maybe at 25 years ago it's new, but not no more. Come on.
And also, I just can't believe that I was introduced to Jaws at Universal Studios when I was very young.
Yeah.
What would you think if somebody had the idea of rebooting Jaws?
Not sure.
He would have to run like hell for me.
Right. And if we did that, Jaws would not be the same kind of shark that he is in the films.
No, that's
he
just
would not be an animatronic shark. He would be like a cheap CGI shark.
I'm beginning to wonder if that would mean that Sharknado would look better.
And also on the topic of sharks, in case you're wondering, The Meg is not a ripoff on Jaws.
Oh, no.
That film is also based on its own book series.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fair. That's very fair. And yeah, personally for me, if they had the audacity to reboot Jaws, I'm not looking forward to them using the CGI because most of the time, I'm not saying all the time, the CGI is completely unconvincing.
Yeah.
Most of the time, not always. I'll say that.
Actually, I didn't want to interrupt, but I think I better say this before I forget.
Though to be fair, reboot films like The Lion King, King Kong, and The Jungle Book have used very convincing CGI. So maybe, just maybe, but they better also get actors that care because sometimes when they reboot, they just don't care.
Yeah. But, speaking of Jaws and the possibility of CG, somebody on YouTube actually touched up some footage from Jaws 4, replaced it with a CGI shark, and it looks kind of, not much of an improvement. I mean, the quality's okay, but the way the shark moves feels kind of stereotypical. I think it's the word I'm looking for. Like someone who didn't do his homework on sharks was just having him going, how, about it.
That explains so much.
That's a movie that could use a reboot. Well, I have to say that because
I know.
I have to say that because, well, the actors were good, and gosh, I can't believe I forgot her name.
Judith Barcy?
Yeah.
Oh, may you rest in peace.
You can't
Poor
replace
child.
her.
Poor
And
child.
but yeah, that movie needs better writers, and I mean, that's my main gripe: better writers. And
Yeah.
I think that that's something reboots need to care about. They need to care about the writing because it seems like half of the reboots don't care about the writing. They just care about rushing it out. The biggest example of that, I say, would be Psycho.
Yeah, definitely.
That reboot, I will be fair and say that the actors were giving it their best. What can you do when you're up against a huge classic? But the situation, when the surprise is already ruined, and you know it already, what's the point of rebooting it if there are little to no twists?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, and well, you know, I know there's quite a few out there that could definitely use a reboot. I mean, let's face it, Green Lantern was horrible. That needs a complete redo. No, not reboot. Redo. Complete, flat out redo. And we all know that too. It's no secret how bad that movie was. But, you know,
it hurts so much to wear a green suit.
Yeah, made of CGI, in the words of Deadpool. Yeah. And I'm sorry, you know, again, it makes sense to have the Ring do CGI stuff. But why is his suit CGI? Why is his mask CGI? And that looks phonier than to use an old quote that my dad would say, phonier than a $3 bill. So yeah. Yep, and it's pathetic. You could tell how cheap it is. And I'm sorry, but that monster coming in, that was a ripoff of Galactus from Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. Yeah, it was.
Somebody, yeah, they need to redo that. And I don't know. What do you think? Get back Ryan Reynolds, or would it end the same way as it did in Deadpool 2, where Deadpool shoots himself before he accepts the script?
I would say, just hypothetically, of course, if they did redo that and it came out great, I could just picture Deadpool showing up and saying, "Hey, good job, man! You did a better job than I did," just because, you know, because he's Deadpool. So, you know,
I want that to happen. Okay, whoever reboots, whoever does Green Lantern, do that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I mean,
But, you know,
I don't care that Deadpool's Marvel. I mean, Deadpool. I mean, what do you call it? Green Lantern is his tragic backstory.
Yep, sure is. Yeah, when it comes to reboots, though, I think that we've been getting way too many of them these days. Though that's part of the problem. They're literally cranking them out it's like they're coming out of a factory on an assembly line. And that's the key thing. We all need to lay off for a little while. Like you said, Joshua, like maybe every 5 years. And there was a time that they did it like 5 or 10 years down the road. But now it's almost like every minute.
Yeah.
I mean, Disney's just redoing its old stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And I do get a guilty pleasure out of some of these reboots. Like, I still say that Alice in Wonderland is my guilty pleasure.
I like Beauty and the Beast. So.
Oh yeah, that
like
one's mostly line for line. But
there's moments I question, but that's only because of logic. That's all.
Yeah, like the book.
Yeah.
like, why doesn't Belle use the book to go home and rescue her father?
Yeah.
Right. But I'm also
Or-
glad that Alan Menken gave a little sneak peek of one of the new songs when I saw him in concert back in September 2016.
That was pretty cool.
I love
Yeah.
the song "Days in the Sun." That's one thing I like for Disney to do more often is take chances with something new. If you're going to pretty much shell out your old classics, try something new with it too. I mean,
Yeah.
one thing I liked about the Little Mermaid, and that's especially something. Sorry,
What the-
that's especially something I love about the Jungle Book. That's the biggest thing I love about it is it took chances, it tried something new, and it told a story. Whereas I said this to you, Joshua, earlier, but I'm going to say it again. The original is a classic, but there's not really much of a story in the middle. It's just Mowgli going from character to character to character to character.
Yep.
Not much happens. But in the reboot, it's mostly just Mowgli hanging out with Baloo, and for some reason that does actually make a pretty good story.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the climax comes up, and it's built up to it in a way, so you get what's going on. Whereas in the original, there wasn't really much of a story. So I was grateful that the 2016 movie fixed the plot problem. And it seemed like up to 2016, that's what Disney was doing, is trying a different angle with some of these stories. They tried different angles with Cinderella. They tried different angles with Maleficent. I'm not a fan of the angle of it. Well, I'm not a fan of one thing they did with Maleficent. By the end of the movie, they completely throw out the, oh yeah, we were in love story. And Maleficent has no remorse about killing the man that she once loved. It doesn't show her tearing up for a moment or saying, sorry, it's time to let you go. Or stuff like that. Like, if it had a moment where she was like that, then it might be better for me, or it might be a better story. Or, well, we all said it. Why couldn't she turn into a dragon
instead of Diablo doing it?
Yeah.
So why was it that up to 2016 they were actually taking chances with different angles of the story, and yet Beauty and the Beast was when they started to copy themselves?
To a point anyway on Beauty and the Beast. They did make a few additions, which, like, we had a small backstory as to why the prince was such a jerk to begin with. I mean, they explained that it was his father who did this to him, technically.
Right.
They said that anyway, so that I could go with. I'm sorry?
And they also gave more development for the Enchantress.
Yeah, they did. They gave her a little bigger a role, but still, yeah.
I like some of the developments for the enchanted objects. Like, I like that the piano is in love with the wardrobe, and I'm probably using the wrong word for it. It's probably something more grand than a piano.
I think he's a harpsichord.
I think that's what they said. Yeah.
My bad.
I just prefer to go by his name. You know.
I love how he's
Maestro Cadenza.
I love how Maestro Cadenza.
I don't know if it's creative or lazy that he has his keys for a mouth.
I actually don't think it's a bad idea, because how do you put a face on that thing?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, his face is just on his music stand, but
well, his teeth were his keys, so which makes sense to me.
And technically, the black keys are called teeth.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah, and let's see. There was another thing in there I think I particularly liked. They gave a better explanation as to why they listened to Gaston in the first place. Because in the first film, it's like, oh, we just really admire this guy. That's about it. Whereas for they claim that he was a captain in the army, which makes better sense. He's an authority figure who they kind of look up to.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that makes better sense than just, oh, I admire this guy so much,
And everybody pointed this out. Oh,
They
sorry.
also added an element from the book that Belle wanted a rose from someplace.
Mhm.
Yes, that was in the original story.
Yep.
Though it led to nothing much.
Yeah.
Though one thing that I did like is, well, everybody on the internet talked about this. They fixed up the plot hole of how the kingdom has completely forgotten that they have a prince. Or
Yeah, that's true.
technically, is he a king? Because where's the original king?
Dead.
So doesn't that make the beast a king?
Well, they did say that the rose would bloom until he was 21. So I guess by the time he turns 21, he becomes of age to rule, I guess. But
There is if I remember correctly, there is a usual standard that you reach a certain age before you're officially king, even if the king died before you hit that age. So if I'm not mistaken, yeah, that's about right. Kind of depends
Everybody
who's
on the
telling.
internet, say hi to Georgie. Hi, Georgie.
Hey, buddy.
Oh.
Photobomb.
He's the best photobomb.
Yeah, he's the cutest. 7 years old now, I just found out.
really?
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Georgie.
Yep.
So
He's my little buddy.
So yeah, what do you call it? So that's something that I do appreciate Disney doing is trying to patch up a few things, but also keeping true to the story on occasion when it's called for. And with Beauty and the Beast, I guess they felt like that there was not much they could change, that they could patch up a few things, but not really.
Looks like to me.
However, I mean, and Aladdin, I like that they patched up a lot.
Yeah, they mostly fixed up their controversial problem from the original.
Which
Yeah.
Like they were racist towards the Arabs in the original, with Aladdin and Jasmine having a lighter skin tone and having a American accent.
Well, that's the actors.
And of course, Jafar and some of the extras were kind of portrayed a little bit with a grotesque look. And
well, I mean, I don't think that it was intended to be racist or anything. I hope, but at the same time, yeah, you basically got American actors being the characters. I don't know. Is Naomi Scott American technically?
She's English.
She's British.
British, English, same thing.
Better, but
Right.
she does at least look the part.
Yes.
And to be fair, the actors, I'd say except for Jafar, look the part. Jafar still looks like still looks like he needs a tan and a better actor. I say Naveen Andrews. Naveen Andrews from Once Upon a Time in Wonderland was a better Jafar and frightening.
Right. And also, I think you didn't realize that the only actor they brought back for the Aladdin remake was Frank Welker.
Oh, actually, I knew that because I recognized his Cave of Wonders voice as well as his Abu.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And little trivia, though, honestly, I think that this was a huge missed opportunity. The late Gilbert Gottfried wanted to come back as Iago, but they said no.
And they got Alan Tudyk instead.
I didn't. I mean, I love Alan a lot, but I don't like him as Iago. I mean, nobody's Gilbert Gottfried for one, and also he made the parrot hilarious.
Yep.
He
Yeah,
actually was the
also,
only other
I
actor who
tried doing my own voice dub in his memory.
I remember seeing that. And
Me too.
fun fact, I'll just point this out because I actually found this on. I found this little trivia out. Do you remember this moment where Iago tries to start packing for Jafar and contemplates whether or not to bring this picture with him?
Oh
That was
yeah.
improvised, wasn't it?
That was improvised, and they kept it because it made Robin Williams laugh so hard.
Yeah.
You can't get a better compliment than that. One of the things I did like about this reboot, however, was Naomi Scott as Princess Jasmine, honestly, because I don't think she was that interesting in the first movie.
You didn't think Laura Larkin as Jasmine was interesting?
Oh, no. The actress was fine, but I don't think the character herself was that interesting. I'm going to have to quote Doug Walker on this one. So basically, she wants to leave the palace, live a normal life, but quickly returns to the palace, and you completely forget her original motivation. They stick with her motivation in the reboot, which is to be a better ruler,
right?
But also honor her mother's memory.
True.
And I especially like that. And as much as I love the tiger, right, her pet tiger, yeah, I actually liked her maidservant.
Oh yeah, Dahlia.
I like I like when new characters are given personalities to work off of each other, and I like it when Disney can try something new with that. Which is a lot more than what I could say for The Lion King. I'm sorry. And yep, we've gotten into it. I do like the animation for that one, but I felt like I was seeing a duller version of the animated movie. The animation in this one was phenomenal. It was great.
Yeah.
Probably better than the Jungle Book in some ways. But the guy playing Scar was too monotoned. Like, I couldn't tell what his attitude was. He sounded like he was sleepwalking. Yeah. He legit sounded like he was sleepwalking his lines.
At least James Earl Jones was doing his best too.
Yeah.
He was. Oh, okay. Oh, we got a comment. Hey partner, nice stream, and I wish I was part of your live stream. Hey, how's it going?
I would say giving a comment makes you part of it.
So, we're talking about we're talking about remakes so far, and we just got to the 2019 Lion King movie. Care to share what you think about it?
Be right back. I'm gonna get Gatorade or something.
Oh, all right.
But yeah, I applaud the animators for trying, but I applaud the animators for trying, but I think they should have tried a few new changes.
Right. So, as much as 2020 Mulan was a bit of a mixed bag, it's still sad to see the leading actress gone.
Oh, she's not gone. That's the animated voice actress in China.
Oh, I thought that.
You sure about that?
Yeah. I looked her up. She wasn't in the 2020 movie.
I guess I must have misread something.
I pretty much agree with you on the Lion King 2019 movie. Yeah. Though I will say one thing I loved that they did in that one was, and this was a change I welcomed greatly, expanding on The Lion Sleeps Tonight, because that song's a perfect song.
Yeah, even though Nala's jump made me jump.
it made me jump, and I was also like, "Dang it, you ruined an awesome song."
Jeez.
But
No.
yeah, pretty much, no question about it. The original's better.
Yeah.
Had better voice actors, and I mean, to be fair, Donald Glover as Simba, I might pick him over
Matthew Broderick.
yeah, or as I like to call him these days, Matthew Boardwick. He wants to be part of our live stream. What do you guys think? Should we?
It's up to you, really.
I'm trying to remember how to do this.
Are you sure it was the original Mulan? Because the name I'm looking up.
The original Mulan voice actress in China.
Oh, okay. Because the one here, she's very much alive. So, okay.
I guess I really did misread something, did I?
Don't worry about it. It's all right.
Let's see.
Yeah, because the voice actress here was Ming-Na Wen, and she's very much alive.
Right.
So
still, it was nice that she made a cameo in that film, like Jodie Benson did for The Little Mermaid.
Oh yeah, and I honestly, I think they should do that in reboots.
Yeah, that's always a must, especially for when you like get movies based off of TV shows. You got to get some original actors who played those characters in. You know, that is if they're around. That's always a must. But you know, sometimes for some reason that doesn't happen. Now, the exception would be when, you know, it's been so long ago that I'm sorry to put it this way, that they're gone. So sure, that's different. But, you know, when they refuse to look them up, like in the case of Power Rangers 2017, which is bogus. But anyway, yeah. And as I recall, when they did the movie of the A-Team, I don't know what happened there, but for whatever reason, they did not get Mr. T to make a cameo appearance, and he was B.A. Baracus. So,
and as much as I think that James Earl Jones really needed to reread his lines, I at least they got him.
True.
Right. It looks like.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
How's it going?
It's me.
Hello.
I'm LBT Electric Dino here. First time coming here to your stream for the first time.
Well, welcome to our stream. How's it going?
Yep, I'm doing really, really nice. And nice red hair that you got there.
Thanks.
And nice mask that you got there, John Fan and Joshua. How's it going, partner?
Doing well.
And as for you, Bonnie?
Oh, thank you.
So our subject lately has been the remakes, and if Hollywood should do them, or if they really should stop, or maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think I pretty much agree with you on the Disney remakes, especially with 2019's Lion King movie and the Mulan 2020 movie. But as for 2019's Lion King, I thought the movie was okay. It did have a lot of good moments in it, but what I did not like about it is whenever the characters feel smiling or anything, they barely show up any facial expressions or anything. Like, they just have the stare looks throughout the whole thing. And not to mention, at least the CG is pretty good, especially with the visuals and the animals. I know that they did a good job, and I know they represent the real animal, but you gotta at least give them expression and all that stuff. Like, look at the Kung Fu Panda movies. Look at Zootopia. Even Dinosaur, a movie that came out in the year 2000, and yet it managed to pull off facial expressions with the real animals. I'll show you how the CG is handled. And not to mention, if you want a better story that knows how to make animals work, I suggest recommending the Dino King movies. Granted, some people may not be fans of them, but I'm going to show you what I'm about to show you. This movie, Dinosaur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always a
Got
plus.
this off of Blu-ray from
Mm.
2000 and one of my favorite films, and still love it to this day.
Brings back memories from that ride at Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
haven't
That was a
seen
good
it
movie.
yet,
And
but,
speaking of things from the 2000s, I got some dinosaur figures that are based on that movie. Like, oh, my bad. Yeah. There's Aladar.
Yep.
He's our main character. And the Carnotaur. Aladar and the Carnotaur. Yeah. Well, and as for the movie Dinosaur, yeah, at least the character, whenever the characters talk or anything, they show up facial expressions, unlike the 2019's Lion King movie.
yeah. And even if you can't get the animals to show emotion, at least have the actors convey emotion, because that's important too, because that was the biggest flaw I had with Scar. That, and also the
Yeah.
cancellation of that awesome song.
Yeah. I think the voice acting of Scar from 2019's Lion King is all right. But my biggest issue is that whenever he talks or angers and all that stuff, he always comes up as somewhat whiny and very immature. Which kind of reminds me of Nick Russell, one of the Red Rangers from Power Rangers Mystic Force, where he was whiny and somewhat immature. But
Yep.
at least they managed to try their best, but I just find it very, very off.
It's true. I know exactly that story pretty well.
And especially where Mufasa dies, gets thrown off by Scar. Instead of letting Mufasa go entirely, Scar just slaps him while letting go, like "Long live the king," and then he just slaps him like was that really necessarily?
Yeah, I know. The only thing it seems to do is make everyone make the joke that he got a biatch slap. That's what happened.
That's more like a swipe.
Yeah, I know, but pretty much that's what everybody keeps claiming just because. And I'm sorry, but when Simba cries no, it sounds like a kitten meowing. It does. No!
Oh, yeah. It seems like whenever Simba saw his dad dies, it seems like Simba doesn't even care. He just has his blank throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I credit the animators for at least trying with that. I mean, Jon Favreau was phenomenal as a director for this, but I don't think. I mean, for the most part, most of the actors could not save this movie. Joshua, you and I saw the Little Mermaid reboot, and at least they knew how to make Sebastian emote in that one. Or
yeah, even Scuttle.
Yeah, he could emote in that one. Or heck, let's go back to 2005 for that Narnia reboot. For that Narnia movie,
Chronicles of Narnia, right?
Aslan could smile. He could frown. You could tell what his emotions were. That should say a lot.
Yep.
Hell, even 2016's Jungle Book movie did a better job because whenever the animals feel anything, they pull off facial expressions, not just from the lips, but from the eyes of how they were feeling. Even King Kong himself, the King Kong, the Vistatosaurus, and the other dinosaurs from Peter Jackson's King Kong, they pull off facial expressions. And even the dinosaurs from the Jurassic World media, Blue, Rexy, the Indominus, Indoraptor, all those other dinos, they know how to pull off facial expressions very well.
And also another film that involved animals with good facial expressions is Racing Stripes.
Yeah, that one. Oh, good idea. I might check that movie out. See how
I remember
goes.
seeing it in theaters. I forgot if they made expressions or not, but you got what was going on. And heck, the movie Homeward Bound, the characters don't make any facial expressions. But you get what's going on thanks to the voice acting and the way the animals move. Turn their heads, or react to the scene.
That's
Those
exactly
were
what happened in
animals.
2013's Walking with Dinosaurs. 2013's Walking with Dinosaurs.
Oh,
When the dinosaurs talk, their lips don't even move. But you can understand how they were feeling. especially with the eyes of how they feel.
Hmm.
Granted, the movie may not be perfect, but at least the characters felt like characters themselves, unlike 2019's Lion King movie.
Yep.
Yeah. Though I will admit there were a few things I did like about the 2019 Lion King. I um, I already mentioned the awesome song that they expanded on. I did like I, again, I like Donald Glover a lot more than Matthew Bordwick. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
though to be fair, it was during one of the times where Matthew Bordwick actually cared. I
Uh-huh.
trying to remember what else I liked. Gosh,
Well, one thing to like about it is that there were more animals in Timon and Pumbaa's jungle. So
that was something. Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
and instead of 3 hyenas attacking the kids, there was like a whole pack.
Yeah, like a whole flock of hyenas. Like,
but
seriously.
that does lead to a huge National Geographic question, which is, Mufasa goes straight into their territory, and when a male lion is in a hyena territory, I think they could take them all down.
Oh man.
When it's 1
Yeah.
against 20. I mean,
Yeah.
it was
Even-
one thing when it was one mighty lion and against the 3. But one lion
A whole
against,
Oh yeah. Even if
Yeah.
Mufasa is a big lion, the hyenas were strong. The whole pack of hyenas was strong enough to take him down. That's like having a big Tyrannosaurus fighting against all the raptors, and yet there's this whole swarm of them taking down a Tyrannosaur in seconds,
yeah, and
or a
hyenas
sauropod
are
in
fierce enough for
seconds.
that. And I did like what they did with Shenzi. I liked that change where they made her the matriarch.
Mhm.
But yeah, for the most part, I think that I don't think it's their worst remake, but I do not think it's one of their better remakes either. I still debatably say that their worst remake is Lady and the Tramp because they flip-flop the motivations. Their motivations don't make sense anymore. And Tramp is proven right that when a baby moves in, the dog moves out. The point of the original movie was to prove him wrong.
Mhm.
Unbelievable.
Mhm.
To me, the worst Disney remake by far has to go to 2010's Alice in Wonderland movie. Like, I've seen that movie and it was bad. It was really terrible. Like, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life, and the absolute worst Disney movies I've ever seen. Period. Like, look at the CG in this movie. The CG looks ugly, very ugly, like a bad rendered video game, and none of the characters are memorable. They're very forgettable and somewhat paper thin. But don't get me wrong. There are some characters that I like Johnny Depp's Mad Hatter and the White Queen, which those are the characters I like throughout the whole movie. Well, everyone else is just a generic character. Like Alice is just a plain generic protagonist. The Queen of Hearts looks like a complete joke with the big bobbly head and all that stuff. Her design is kind of cool, but the character just feels off. And she is literally one of the worst movie villains I've ever seen in a movie like this, hands down. Like, the story's god awful, the CG's god awful. I get it. This has some of the worst. This has some of the worst twists I have ever seen in a movie. Seriously, when you watch 2010's Alice in Wonderland movie, you'll hate every single character or every other fictional character in that universe. You'll hate them all. Yeah, they are that forgettable. Seriously, no one and no child should watch this movie ever again because it's just bland and boring, and most of all, it is an absolute nightmare, and I hated it so badly.
That's quite the way to describe it. Admittedly, I don't think it. For me, I have a guilty pleasure in it, but at the same time, I don't think it's that great either. I mean, I was hoping it would do what Christopher Robin did.
Yeah, it does act like a standalone sequel instead of a remake. And also about your complaint about Red Queen, Helena Bonham Carter was actually inspired by someone she knew who was actually a brat.
Ah,
Oh,
at least
pretty
she pulled
interesting.
that part off. Oh, and hi, Alex.
Pretty
And-
interesting, eh?
I mean, I do admit Mallyunkin, aka Dormouse, was kind of unlikable sometimes due to her pride and all. But
And the names are just forgettable.
yeah, and also Jabberwocky had made it to one of my 13th scariest monster countdown video from 2016.
Wow, that's crazy.
And it's sad that Jabberwocky's voice actor Christopher Lee is no longer with us anymore.
Yeah. Not to mention that caterpillar known as Alan Rickman, who played Professor Snape in the Harry Potter movies, since he's no longer with us as well. At least
I was
he
glad
did.
that the 2016 movie actually did give him a memory, or said in loving memory of.
Alan Rickman, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Though, if I had to pick a worst Disney sequel, it'd be that one. I think that one's worse than the first movie because there's no point to anything. Like
Alice Through the Looking Glass.
There was no point to Alice showing up and ruining everything. And yes, I mean, all of this could have solved easily without her returning.
I refuse to watch Looking Alice Through the Looking Glass. I refuse to watch that because it looks like complete utter junk.
Well, visually it looks better, but you know what? I'm just going to spoil the plot anyway. It's a time travel.
Done some work.
It's a time travel story.
Oh man, time traveling? Seriously?
Because
Avengers Endgame and Cinderella 3 did it better.
Oh, absolutely.
Not to mention Meet the Robinsons, Power Rangers Time Force, regular show. All those other medias are a lot better. Even Freebirds from 2013.
Even the latest Indiana Jones had time travel.
Exactly.
Oh. What would you guys say is the worst Disney reboot so far? Or least favorite?
So, yeah. I'll pick my pick 5, and if those of you want to go first, then I'm on it. Because
so far, I've already said Lady and the Tramp, and I've already said why. Though I will give kudos that they used real dogs.
Yeah. Even though they had to ruin dogs with Call of the Wild.
Oh my lord. Yeah, don't get me started with that movie, The Wild. Because that movie was boring. Really, really boring.
And that movie's been remade too many times already.
Uh-oh.
True story.
So, yeah.
But I would say for me, it would have to be Alice in Wonderland on the worst scale, because I'm sorry, it felt too much like a sequel rather than a remake for starters. And plus, the amount of violence in there kind of bugged me a little.
Heck, even Christopher Robin was like a standalone sequel.
But it was good. So.
It was cheesy, but really good. But so was Hook. Hook was also cheesy, but it was really good. And that's what I love about those movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention.
And also, I just can't believe that Asylum would do their own Little Mermaid film.
How has that studio not
There's an Asylum movie of the Little Mermaid? Are you serious?
And it was animated with AI.
Unbelievable.
How has that studio not been shut down years ago?
Oh man.
Your guess is as good as mine, Bonnie.
The only thing
I thought Age of Dinosaurs was pretty bad, but this is more so.
the only thing I did like about that movie was the twist ending that they had, which was not Prince Eric is what I'll call him. I decided to live with not Ariel underwater as a merman instead of her being a human, which was a pretty cool twist. But
That
otherwise,
sounds familiar to me.
why? Just the wrong time for the movie.
Oh, I think I know the answer to that one because it's all the rage right now. Heck, the Sci-Fi Channel, whenever there was a new sci-fi movie out, they rip it off immediately and post it on there. I'm not kidding. They did that when Battleship came out. They did that when Pacific Rim came out, and they were pathetic too. They really were.
Exactly. Not to mention those crappy dinosaur movies I've seen, like Age of Dinosaurs, Jurassic Attack, Raptor Ranch,
Snakes on a Train,
which I saw that one long before I did with Age of Dinosaurs from the.
Can you guys excuse me? I gotta go get some water.
Right.
Alex says they did get sued once, but not for what you guys think. I heard that they've been sued a couple times, and a couple of those times were for plagiarism, but otherwise, this studio should have gotten the same treatment as Video Brinquedo did, which was to get shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they stole from Disney, so they might get it this time. Because you know what happens when you steal from Disney. You're in trouble.
Honestly, recalling back to one of the things you said, movie fan, they should do what you said they should really do, what they should have done to Video Brinquedo, which was to which was to get a big can of gasoline, then pour it all around the studio to make sure that everybody's out and in jail, and then throw a match in there.
And throw a match on it.
Yeah, but also, do you know what other studio that was kind of ripping off Disney at times during the time? Golden Films.
Oh,
Golden
gosh.
Films.
I will never forgive them for what they did to Hunchback.
Oh, I remember now.
Unbelievable.
For that one.
This can't be good.
It's not. They basically they draw and they both animate and indicate that Quasimodo's handsome.
Unbelievable.
Way to literally throw a book at Victor Hugo's ghost and grave. Because Disney would usually draw their main characters to look pretty. They don't do that with Quasimodo.
If I see those videos.
And also, why would Golden Films do their own take of Beauty and the Beast twice?
It got me.
Seriously. If I see those movies, I can't wait to rant on them because
they're free on YouTube.
I might trash them.
Yeah.
They're free on YouTube if you're ever interested.
Well, at least Princess Castle was handled originally, though. Because I don't see it as a, rip-off of anything.
Yeah.
I guess that, I guess Golden Films, ripped off Beauty and the Beast twice just so that the audience could go, look, there she goes, that girl looks so familiar. I wonder which company she's from.
Barnacles.
Golden Films, Beauty and the Beast.
And
Golden Films, Beauty on the Inside.
One thing I have to point out is that, have you heard this North Korean television series called Simba the King Lion? Because they have a lot of characters that are like
That's Mondo, isn't it?
And half of the characters are Jungle Book related.
That's Mondo TV.
Yeah, Mondo TV.
And so far, the only people who I know who have reviewed that series was Huey Toonmore and Isaac the Media Hunter.
Yeah, not to mention Rick Raptor 105, but just for the dinosaur ones. I've seen the dinosaur ones on some of the King Lion where they're like doing a crossover with Lion King, Land Before Time, and Jungle Book all together. If you've seen the two-parters with Rick Raptor 105, you understand what I'm talking about. And he typed it scavengers. And he also did that one with Kim of the White Lion, where Kim of the White Lion was doing crossover with dinosaurs and all that stuff. Like it's like Lion King and Land Before Time, all like crossovers, which would have been a smart idea, but the biggest problem is with the execution. Like why the dinosaur models look like trash and all that stuff. And the most funniest memes I've ever seen is where they're like, those are Triceratops, Baloo, where those dinosaurs are like walking and all that stuff. And Baloo is like, what are those? Those are Triceratops, Baloo. Like that.
Okay, sorry. All right, so, same guys who did the animated Titanic. Which animated Titanic, dare I ask? Was it the one with the rapping dog, or the insulting one where nobody died?
Well, I think it's the one that, I think those Italian animators did all three of them.
Yeah, but I think they were different companies. But either way, those reboot. You know what? That brings up something. That brings up another reboot question that I was going to ask, and I had an answer for, but you know what? I now have it. So basically, which non-Disney reboot do you think is the worst?
Well, one example is that Pinocchio, a true story film from last year. That's the absolute worst.
I was probably sure drunk.
I was afraid you would say that.
Is it that animated Pinocchio that was like Asylum-like or something?
The one where Pinocchio goes, "Father, when can I leave to be on my own?"
Oh,
yes.
Barnacles. Don't get me started with that one.
Even Disney's reboot of Pinocchio actually looked better than that.
Exactly.
Right.
As bad as that remake is, at least they managed to do something different. Hell, even the Pinocchio. I know it looks good and it looks a lot like the one from the classic film, but the realism of the Pinocchio looks kind of nice, I'll admit.
Right.
Yeah.
So that at least is one of the worst. Movie fan, have at it. Which one do you think is the worst?
The worst non-Disney reboot, eh? Yeah. I might have to look through my repertoire here. I got a pretty good laundry list I could come up with. Oh, yes. But we'll give a dramatic pause for a second here to acknowledge that Alex says the one with the octopus, which would be Legend of Titanic.
Shoot that movie. In fact, you know what? To quote that movie that to quote the creature, kill it, kill it, kill it.
Yep. Okay. All right.
That company was SEK Studio. Shame on that studio.
They wouldn't be doing that if it was Italian people that died in that story. So I'm sure, let's get real, I'm pretty sure that's got a lot to do with it. So anyway, since it was made in Italy, So, for us, a lot of Americans were on the ship. For the British and Irish, that speaks for itself there. There's a lot of them on there too. So, but yeah. But anyway, okay. I would say the Ninja Turtles reboot would be one of the worst, but I do have one that's above that one. But I'll just lead up to it first. Ninja Turtles reboot. I am sorry. You cannot learn martial arts from a book. It does not work that way. Because you see them do all kinds of stuff, like when Splinter's kind of punishing them and interrogating them at the same time to find out what they did. They're standing on chairs, balancing themselves. You do not get that from a book. It does not work that way. And the Shredder, he was way too overdone. Way too overdone. The magnetic blades that pop out fit 20 of them at once sort of thing. Michael Bay, once again, overdoing it. Way overdoing it.
The same guy who screwed up the Transformers media.
Well, the first two weren't too bad, but yeah, the rest of it. And I'm sorry, Grimlock, we needed more time with Grimlock. And plus, why do they look like mutant dinosaurs except for Grimlock? That ain't right. So, I
Exactly.
mean, two-headed pterodactyl? Really? A combination of Spinosaurus slash Ankylosaurus slash maybe Barox, I don't know. And a
Yeah, I think
Triceratops
the
with a lower
Dinobots are
jaw
all
like
right.
one of those mastodons? Really?
Oh
Seriously?
yeah, they look like Power Rangers Zord knockoffs, which would be really cool for Power Rangers. I'll admit that the Dinobots look kind of all right, and I'll like to see a similar design of the Dinozords like those in Power Rangers. But if you look at the Dinozords from Power Rangers, this is what the Dinobots from Age of the Extinction would look like. If
Yeah.
anything, I actually agree with you, movie fan.
Let's just hope that the next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie next month will be better.
I'm confident
I don't
about it.
know.
That animation already looks amazing.
Kind of looks like stop motion to me. That's what I find interesting.
Oh,
It makes me think of it. I don't know why.
Maybe it's the animation quality.
Could be.
Alex, don't even get me started in Devastator.
And I'm gonna show you what the dinos would look like these guys, these dinosaurs.
Yep. Yep, that's him, all right.
I actually agree with movie fan that these are what the dinos would look like in Age of the Extinction.
That's what they should have looked like.
Agree. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they should have been.
With the Dinobots. I mean, even the concepts looked a lot better than the ones in the actual movie.
Yeah.
Like the concept dinos.
Yep, exactly. And getting back to the Ninja Turtles again, for some reason, the Foot Ninjas are really terrorists. And that, I'm sorry, 9/11, move on. We were in a war of terror, but it was time to move on. Quit reminding us that we were fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan. We didn't need to keep hearing that all the time.
World Trade Center is a better film than that, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, and on top of that, with movie 2, it seemed to me like Krang was really in charge and Shredder was nothing. And I'm sorry, compared to the series, Shredder and him, they didn't get along very well, but Krang didn't treat Shredder like he was nothing, and Shredder wasn't useless either. And plus, in the first film, Shredder was clearly a lackey. Clearly the businessman was in charge, and that's not the Shredder. He wouldn't take orders from no one. He would maybe play along for a little bit, but he would not take orders from anyone. In fact, in the Nickelodeon Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder teams up with one of Batman's worst enemies, Ra's al Ghul, or Raz al Ghul if you prefer. And he doesn't he doesn't take orders from him. He just works with him. That's about it, because they kind of need each other. It's not a whole, just because you're immortal, that means you're above me, So no, he wouldn't take that from nobody. And that's not the real Shredder. He wouldn't take that. But here we go. The big one. The movie, the worst remake of all time for me. And sorry, it still makes me cringe just thinking about this.
Go ahead.
The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Oh.
The movie that was about global warming. That's why the alien came down to tell us, don't pollute your planet or I will kill you. Seriously.
Now that's plain silly.
I know.
That's stupid.
Yeah. For the original film, there was some serious meaning behind it. Serious meaning. It was a little bit of propaganda in a way, but the director was very subtle about it. It was basically about the Cold War, because it was made in 1950. So there's your answer there. And the whole gag was that if we keep going the moral was that if we keep going the way we were, not trusting each other, getting ready to push that proverbial button, if you know what I mean, we're going to lead to our own destruction. That was the point. That's why the alien came down, because they were watching us. They knew that sooner or later we would. It's going to be a spoiler alert, because I doubt anyone's going to look this up anytime soon. and I suggest you do. It is a really good movie. It's not. It's more of a drama, but one of the things is Klaatu. That's the name of the character, Klaatu. He comes down to Earth, and he gets shot immediately by our government because of a trigger-happy soldier, even though he clearly said, "We come in peace and with goodwill." And I wonder if that's where that line came from. I wonder if that's how it all started for the movies. I don't know. But anyway, he came down to deliver a message, not to one nation, not to one country, but to everyone. And it's just he was trying to tell us that we need to grow up. That's the point. We need to grow up and try. I mean, how we handle our planet, that's our business. That's really what he said too. But if we extend our violence outward towards other planets, then ours will turn into a burned out cinder. Will lead to our own destruction. That's the truth. That's what the point was. That's what he was here to tell everybody. But, the governments would not cooperate with each other at all. The Russians said they won't talk to us unless it's held in Moscow. And the British said they won't talk to the Russians unless it's held in America. Yeah, the Russians were so no one was willing to cooperate, even though alien just landed practically on the White House lawn in a way, and that doesn't warrant a truce for a minute here. So, but that's really the way things were at the time, and that was the point. That was the point. We were in such tension. We were getting ready to push that button to launch missiles all around the world, and we all know it too. That was the point that they were trying to make. We need to back off and grow up, before we kill ourselves off. Compared to stop polluting your planet. We don't live here, but stop polluting your planet or we'll kill you. In fact, I would go with the gag from Robot Chicken. That said it all. And I'm talking the gag where Ted Turner goes nuts and dresses up as Captain Planet, and he's killing people. And he goes, "Protect the environment or I'll beep and kill you." That's literally what happened here. That is literally what happened here. Yeah, I'm not kidding. That is literally what's going on here.
Aye, aye, aye.
Yeah, and people
That's a lot.
Yeah. And,
aye, aye, aye.
Yeah. The only good thing about it was the robot, Gort. That is it. Literally. He was in the first film, but he was played by a guy who was about maybe 7'7". I could be wrong about that, but he was a very tall guy. But, obviously, you had a guy in a costume. Compared to nowadays, that looks cheap a little, but, that's the kind of stuff you had back then. And even now, some of the special effects on that are pretty awesome. Like how the laser comes out of his visor and how the ship lands. It even opens up to reveal a ramp and closes up where there's not even a seam. Very impressive work.
Kind of sounds like something that would be featured in Earth versus the Flying Saucers from the old days.
Yeah, it was too. In fact, it was kind of one of the earlier predecessors, only without stop motion animation, because that's how Earth versus the Flying Saucers was.
Right, and when they include this strange sound effect for their lasers, like wow,
Mhm.
wow, wow, wow,
Yep,
wow.
that's it. I remember that well.
I
So
might
far
check
from
that
me-
out.
So far for me, I have two worsts. I Legend of Titanic. I'd say that's number 3, but really that's more historically insulting than it is anything else. So I would have for live action reboot, I would have to say Psycho's the worst. And for animated, I can't believe this has to count or that this has to exist. Tom and Jerry and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
Oh boy, don't get me started with that one.
That's the
That was
very
bad.
definition of not caring, not trying, nothing. Nothing works about it. And even the animation is ugly.
Oh my lord.
It's
Yeah.
true.
And I especially hate the plot with not Slugworth.
Yeah, Wilkinson. Seriously.
There's no point in making him the villain whatsoever.
Exactly. And that's
Hey.
how I feel about them. And they're like, we got to have money.
That's probably the best line, and probably sums up every reason why these Tom and Jerry crossover movies are made. I mean, to be fair, Wizard of
Yeah.
Oz did kind of give Tom and Jerry a point to existing, but this just there's no
This
point to
movie
that
blows.
existing. Though there is one gag that there is one animation thing in there that actually I think sums up the entire movie, and that's the moment where both Tom and Jerry are banging their heads against the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's how I feel.
The only other thing that makes me laugh about that movie is, what do you call it? Oh, yeah, where Willy Wonka starts fretting about the fact that there might be a cat in his factory, and he'll have to sanitize everything. You know, Willy Wonka, the same guy we see drop shoes into a chocolate mix in the original movie. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the FDA is definitely going to have a lot more to worry about than a cat running loose.
Yeah.
Alex, okay. That was the only reason they made so they could keep the rights to Willy Wonka. And I think the even worse part about this movie is that they announced that this movie was going to be made literally a month after Gene Wilder's death. Way to kick him into the dirt. That was complete disrespect.
Yeah. And somewhat mean-spirited. I think it felt
Tell me about it.
forced.
That too.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Hey. How's it going? Going good, and you?
Oh, and Joshua and Bonnie, I sent a link to watch the
Vimeo?
movie The Day There Stood Still. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, it's The Day There Stood Still, the original, not that remake. Then you'd see the point. And I could tell you why it's called that, which would give better reason, but I think I'll let that one slide unless you want to hear it. I mean,
ladies and gentlemen, say hi to Miriam.
Hello.
Hey there.
hi.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Nice
And
to meet
look
you
nice,
too.
by the
Yeah.
way.
What are you guys talking about?
Live action or our thoughts on movie reboots.
Yeah.
Where
Good
are you,
topic.
George?
Reboots and
Yeah,
remakes.
and we just started talking about
George,
a
what are you doing?
reboot that should not exist. Called
Okay.
Several.
Several, yeah.
Some remakes could be good, while some could be okay, and the rest, those could be really terrible, like that.
And which one do you think? Which reboot do you say should not exist? Or which one's the worst? I mean,
Outside of the Disney one, because I've
Yeah.
mentioned like Alice in Wonderland or something like that. Oh, remember the Beauty and the Beast remake from 2017 made by Disney? Because there's
Yeah.
no point of that existing at all. Like,
oh no, there's
the
no
movie
point.
felt dull and boring and lifeless.
Oh, I
And
don't know.
the dress from Belle, they got the dress wrong. Like, I mean, it looks nothing like the one from the classic film. Lack of gloves, lack of makeup look, and all that. I mean, they even have a zipper behind the dress, which I don't mind that. And the heels, they got the shoes wrong. I mean, they butchered big time. And as for the Beast,
Shoes.
I think he looks fine, but he just needed something else to do and all that stuff. Like, it's fine, but not the biggest fan. But I'll tell you what the worst reboot there is. From
Ooh.
2012, The Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That film right there. The Amazing Spider-Man, they got everything wrong with Spider-Man. Like, the story feels like a rehash of the first Spider-Man film from Sam Raimi, and
It was.
yeah, the lizard, I mean, he looks nothing like the lizard from the comics or the cartoon. He looks like a mutated creature that came right out from Primeval and all that stuff. And Spider-Man's suit, oh my lord, the suit looks ugly. really, really ugly. Like the yellow eyes and the bluish hands and the darkish red look. Like it looks nothing like Spider-Man that we see from the Raimi films and all that stuff. I mean, they
Yeah.
managed to get the suit right in the sequel, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but the first film suits, it looks rather lame and all that stuff. I'll
But
admit
keep in
that.
mind,
Bill tried.
keep in
And-
mind, if those two films didn't exist, we would never have Andrew Garfield's cameo or Lizard or Electro's appearances in Far From Home.
I
More
think
like
Lizard
No Way Home, which
out
I do
because
appreciate.
Lizard in Far From Home looks awful. I mean, I think he looks okay in the first movie, but he doesn't really. I mean, the effects on him don't look that good in the Far From Home.
Yeah.
No, I mean No Way Home. Sorry, I
No
got
Way
it wrong.
No Way Home.
No Way Home.
Electro was better in No Way Home because they made him
yeah.
look blue in the first one, in that second film. I don't know why.
And he had a better motivation.
Yeah.
Taken, but still.
Yeah, I'll admit that Andrew Garfield did a good job as Spider-Man or Peter Parker, but the character feels other robotic or something like that. Like, and yeah, Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy is all right, but the
I like Gwen
Ant-Man and
Stacy
Ben
in that
Parker, man, those characters are really mean-spirited characters, especially the uncle who yells at Peter by saying that he should apologize to his aunt. Like, that is mean-spirited. Like, one of the most mean-spirited characters I have ever seen. And Aunt May just yells at Peter by not bringing the eggs. Like, was it really necessarily? I do not like those characters at all. Both the uncle and the aunts. They are so mean-spirited and all that stuff. I mean, and they seem to be very villainous than the villains in the movie. I'm not joking.
I believe you. Oh, Miriam. Yeah. I forget how to use the Swiffer liquid, by the way. I might need help with that. And,
Yeah.
If you can,
Yep.
could you get the toilet paper for the next
But
I was gonna grab that on my
Anyway,
beard.
I know
Okay.
of another remake that should never exist anyway, and it's insulting to something that I love.
Oh, what is it?
Annie 2014.
Oh,
So how's that one
yeah.
insulting? I haven't seen either Annie's.
Okay.
Really?
Oops.
Okay. Let me put it like this. The Broadway show takes place in 1933. The 2014 film takes place in modern day. That's just,
Is that bad?
well, it's kind of changing the setting from 1933 to modern day takes away the feel of what the original show was about.
Yep.
And also turning Hannigan from an orphanage owner to a foster mom. Well, that's kind of, and Cameron Diaz, I mean, I don't think she was the right choice to play Hannigan.
Nope.
And turning
Nope,
Oliver
nope.
Warbucks into Will Stacks and changing Rooster Hannigan and Lily St. Regis into two random people. Well, at least they only got it right with Grace Farrell, but still the rest of it, and also the songs are badly butchered.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I did
Yep.
not like the songs. They
Sorry.
are really cringeworthy, and it makes my ears bleed whenever I
Mhm.
hear those songs.
Yeah, and I'll never forget what Cameron Diaz said during like a Good Morning America publicity thing. She was talking about it because, they were talking about, she's in it. And well, she said that now, for those of you who don't remember, I'm sure, Joshua, you might know this one. But back in the 80s, they did do the movie. And of course, Miss Hannigan was played by legendary comedian and actress Carol Burnett.
Right.
Well, she said that, nobody these days will remember Carol Burnett. Excuse me? Everybody knows Carol Burnett. She's a legend for all kinds of reasons.
Right.
She really put her foot in her mouth when she said that. She really did.
Wow. That's just pure blasphemy.
Yeah. I mean, maybe she meant it in the way about the movie, but that movie's still very
That's
well known.
that's the equivalent of saying, that's the equivalent of Tim Burton saying, "Oh, nobody's going to remember Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka because they'll all love Johnny Depp."
Yep.
To be fair, Johnny Depp is still a good actor, but yeah, that's like saying that Gene Wilder will not be as memorable.
Yep. Heck, even the TV movie was stuck in the 30s too.
Right. The one from 1999 Disney.
That's
that
the one.
was handled good too.
That was a little more true to the play, I think, to be honest.
Right.
But that's what made it work. So, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But
And,
yeah.
Well, since you brought up remake musicals, here's one that should not exist. And I mean, well, actually, it could exist. I just don't forgive the casting of this one. I never forgive this one. The Music Man 2003. I will never forgive them casting. I will never forgive them casting Matthew Bordwick as Harold Hill.
Unbelievable.
I mean, you could get. Even Jack Black singing 76 trombones is more convincing than Matthew Bordwick.
Dang
And
you!
Kristen Chenoweth is no
You said
Shirley
it.
Jones.
No. No.
I think that Kristen Chenoweth is okay. She's a terrific singer. And to be fair, Matthew can sing,
sure.
but he sounds like he's singing on NyQuil. Here's how what's it called? Here's how You Got Trouble is supposed to sound like. Well, you got trouble, my friend. Right here, I say trouble right here in River City. Well, here's how Matthew sings it. Well, you got trouble, my friend. Right here, I say trouble right here in River City. Why, sure, I'm a billiard player. Certainly mighty proud to say it. Always mighty proud to say it. Are you trying to sell NyQuil or are you trying to sell a band?
Also kind of stereotyping the kids these days. You know that's stereotype.
Yeah, and that's something I really hate is when they stereotype that, or even stereotype movies to be their excuse as, oh, it's just for the kids. Nobody's gonna care.
Yeah.
Excuse me,
And
kids are gonna care. Kids are actually a little more critical than we adults give them credit for.
Yeah, they are. They really are.
And they're smarter than what we give them credit for. So
Exactly.
So I hate it when when movie directors insult kids like that and say, nobody's gonna care. It's just a kids' film, because a movie sticks with them, or a story sticks with them, even
cool.
when it doesn't seem like it in the moment.
There's no way that they'll insult kids.
Nope.
I'm pretty sure kids will be a lot smarter than this.
They are. Yeah, and I'll tell you this. I still kick myself when I think about the song Marian, Madam Librarian, done by Matthew Broderick. I mean, I'm sorry. Robert Preston, way better. And that dancing sequence, that was phenomenal. Very phenomenal. That was like singing in the rain quality phenomenal here. And that's a lot to live up to.
That took 3 weeks to film.
Oh, I'm sure it did, because of the way that all played out. And, I'm with the Disney version, again, why is Kristen Chenoweth having this weird romantic fantasy moment, even though she is really not interested in Howard Hill right now? Why is she having this? That doesn't make any sense. And plus, I can't help but think, kind of, let's just say nasty thoughts for a way of putting it. When you get to the scene where you don't hear any singing, you just hear the music, and you hear the girls go, "Ooh!" like somebody pinched them, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, I'm like, really? Considering the time frame, that was a big no-no, especially for teenage boys to do something like that. And that is exactly what it sounds like here. So, really?
Though to be fair, the wonderful world of Disney has done a few remakes, right? Like they remade the Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella and somehow made it their own in a very unique and fun way. I mean, I grew up watching the 1956 version with Pat Carroll as one of the stepsisters, and it looked like a stage production, which is not bad, and it's really good. But what this version did was it expanded the world. It made it look like it was more than just a stage. It felt magical to watch, and it looked magical. The dance numbers, the choreographs, the costumes, and the added comedy with Jason Alexander was hilarious. This is what a
Special
reboot
thanks to
should
Rob
do.
Marshall's choreography.
And this is something that a reboot, in my opinion, should do is add more, right? But also stick to the heart of the story. Be true to it.
Exactly. I
And
pretty much agree with you.
if you've never seen the Rodgers and Hammerstein 1997 Cinderella with Whitney Houston, it's amazing. And not just because it has Whitney Houston.
I remember seeing that movie on the Disney Plus like a long time ago. And I think I don't remember it nearly as much. I still think it's good adaptating with the Cinderella stuff, but
All right.
I think I need to watch that again. Well, I can understand
Totally.
where you're coming from with this, Bonnie.
And actually, I have to say it. I love it better than the animated movie because, well, a couple of reasons. The characters are more interesting, especially the prince. Good grief, the prince is more interesting.
I say I take it over the 2015 remake. The 2015 Disney live action remake. No offense to those.
Why do you
Same
do
here,
that
though.
for?
I did like a few things of that remake. It had, I mean, it looked like something out of a fairy tale. And most of the time, most people seem to say that that's the reboot they like the most. And I can actually see some of the reasons. They patch up a few plot holes. They make the prince a lot more interesting.
No.
They add a few elements to the story
Don't do
that
that.
work.
Don't do that. I don't want you chewing that.
They even add elements from the original Cinderella story that work. And I don't mean the animated one. I mean the Grimm fairy tale. And it's just all around really fun.
No.
The only thing I never liked was that they made Cinderella complacent when she was locked in her room. She doesn't even try to get out. Where she gets out by complete mistake. I didn't like that element, but otherwise, I thought it was a good movie.
Pretty interesting.
But honestly, if I had to pick a Disney reboot that I think was the best out of all of them, it would definitely be The Jungle Book.
Oh, yeah. I love Jungle Book 2016. One of my favorite Disney remakes I've ever seen, and possibly one of my favorite Disney movies, along with Dinosaur, Lion King, Tarzan, and Meet the Robinsons, pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
And the other Jungle Book film before that, Mowgli's Story from 1998, is very underrated.
I'll have to check it out. I remember I saw the trailers, but never got a chance to see it.
I saw it one time on VHS at school years ago, and that's the only time I ever watched it. But still, it's very underrated. And also another Jungle Book film that is worth checking out, which is not Disney, is the one by Andy Serkis.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and by the way, speaking of Andy Serkis, that leads to another reboot he's going to do. Or I'm hoping that he does. That's been announced. He's doing a reboot of Animal Farm.
Really?
Interesting.
Or in this case, does it count as a reboot if it's a readaptation, or is it?
I've been wondering that for years. I mean,
Joshua.
It has been done twice before. One in animation and one in live action before.
Yeah, but that was more of a TV movie, though. So tough call.
Joshua. Joshua.
Yes.
Are you talking about the Mowgli movie with Andy Serkis? Because
yep.
Oh yeah, that's the guy that did the facial expressions for the ape-like characters from the Planet of the Apes movies, and not to mention Kong from Peter Jackson's King Kong, where how Kong expresses himself and all that stuff.
Yep.
And that was actually a good reboot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
The King Kong from 2005 was one of the best remakes of any other remake I've ever seen, because it manages to do something different. I know it basically takes elements from the first King Kong movie, but it manages to do something different. Like, for the example, instead of Kong fighting one of Vastatosaurus Rex, King Kong fights off all three Vastatosaurus Rexes.
Yep.
One juvenile, one male, and one female. It's like a family of Vastatosaurus Rexes. But when the 1933 King Kong movie, where Kong fights off a regular Tyrannosaurus, which is basically a meat eater and all that stuff.
Yep.
But instead of having the same dinosaurs like we see in any other movie in King Kong, they decided to make fictional dinosaurs, like fan-made dinosaurs, based on the real-life specimens and all that stuff, like a Tyrannosaurus, which was like Vastatosaurus Rex, which was a direct descendant of the Tyrannosaurus Rex and all that stuff. And as for the Venatosaurs, which were basically like velociraptors, but more agile, more sleeker. And as for the Brontosauruses, they're basically like Apatosauruses, not the one from the Mesozoic. Yeah, I think it's like the Mesozoic Apatosaurus. Sorry if I'm confusing you, but here they're basically like Skull Island equivalent of Brontosauruses. And as for that Ceratopsian, which was basically like a half Chasmosaur, half Pachyrhinosaur, mix them together, and then you get this unknown Ceratopsian. I can't remember the name, but I think it looked kind of cool in the Skull Island. And not to mention that Stegosaur looks kind of nice, I'll admit that. But another thing that bothered me is that
George,
they don't even showed up in the movie. Like, I don't know if they are part of it, but I would like to see them in the future of the MonsterVerse.
well, as far as I know, we haven't had any dinosaur-like creatures in the MonsterVerse yet, but
yeah.
And also another thing that I give that remake credit for is using a deleted scene from the original.
Ow! Don't bite me.
Which followed the log scene.
Yep.
Pretty much. Yeah, I have to agree with you on that, Joshua.
Yep, and Alex made a good point here. The relationship between Anne and Kong was so much better. Yep, that's true too. Because with Fay Ray, what do we get? Ah! 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 Ah!
Yeah, I know.
I'd scream, but I don't want to wake up my landlord or lady.
Not to mention, the soundtrack from James Newton Howard was incredible. I mean, it looks breathtaking and all that stuff. Sometimes it could be peaceful, sometimes it could be frightening, and sometimes it could be all those other stuff, like James Newton Howard. I mean, he's an amazing composer, in my opinion. Like, he did a few amazing works that he did, like Dinosaur, Atlantis, Treasure Planet, and this other movie I can't remember, but I might search it up. And even Disney's recent movie, like Raya and the Last Dragon, and Jungle Cruise.
Oh, Raya.
Yeah, and you know what? That brings to mind one other thing.
Rebooted.
I also did like how they improved the story of why they went to Skull Island in the first place. I love the original movie from 1933, but I never could buy into the whole thing that our director was there to film and he needed Fay Ray, but he actually was there but he was actually secretly going to capture a big monkey, and he knew that he liked blondes.
Gee.
That's really how the original went. He knew. That's what this was really going on here. And they call that out in The Simpsons in Treehouse of Horror. I think it was number 5, I believe. But yeah, they actually call that out because they have Mr. Burns play that guy saying, "Oh, we're really out for a giant monkey named King Homer." You know, that's what he really came out and called that out big time. Yeah, that's really the original movie. The director, that was really what was going on. He was there to capture him. Whereas for this case, no, he was there to film. He had absolutely no idea what he was really getting himself in for. And okay, out of desperation, they capture Kong to try to make up for everything that they lost. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, but when it comes to King Kong, there are 3 films from Kong's resume that we should all stay away from. The 1976 film, its awful sequel, King Kong Lives, and that animated one from 1998.
Even
known as the
Wonderful
Mighty
Joey
Kong.
couldn't say that one.
Oh man, I cannot stand.
Not
that
even the Sherman brothers could save it.
I can't believe they got the good grief and Sherman Brothers in it. They're better songwriters than this, and those songs were crap.
I
Oh,
know.
the Barnacles. Hell,
I
even
know.
hell, I can't believe WB must have distributed it. And watching the Mighty Kong felt like watching a mockbuster of King Kong. It doesn't even feel like
I think
watching
you
an
could,
animated
Alex,
movie
if
at
you
all.
try. I'm not sure. I never
It
tried
felt like
before.
watching a mockbuster.
Yeah. Yeah, and that brings to mind there is like maybe another there is a reboot series that I do actually enjoy. Well, 2 actually. One would definitely be the Planet of the Apes prequels. Those are really good because it's more believable than what they gave us with Charlton Heston. Because in the end, we kind of came to the conclusion. They didn't really say, but we came to the conclusion, at least until maybe that final film, which was total garbage, if you ask me. They put it down that it was more like evolution did this, but in this case, we did this, which makes better sense. So, and as for a reboot that I actually do enjoy, it would have to be the new Godzilla franchise coming out. Now, movie 1, I've been kind of in the middle on because of how it started off. Because I mean, I liked how the director didn't really give us Godzilla like the whole thing, because everybody seems to think that just because you have the ability now to show them every 5 seconds, they think that means you should, but that's not true. That's really not true. But I know better. I've seen movies where they do that and it turns out to be a total garbage. And I liked how the build-up, that was good. But then he dropped the ball when we get that beautiful entrance with Godzilla at the airport. And we cut to Aaron Taylor Johnson's kid for no reason. After that iconic roar. I mean, that was a beautiful entrance, and he literally just took that entrance and threw it away. Literally, that is exactly what he did.
What a
I didn't
waste.
do anything, did I?
Ready? Say hi to Alex.
Hi.
Oh look, there's
Hey,
Alex.
Alex.
Hey,
How's
Alex.
it going?
Nice to meet you.
Uh-oh.
You okay, Alex?
Oh,
It's
dear.
glitching.
Oh, no.
Maybe I'll just wait.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think
Try
I
it again.
liked your thoughts on 2014's Godzilla movie, and I thought the movie was really, really good. But there are some scenes that could be disturbing, especially with the human scenes and all those romance and all that stuff, which is not necessarily. But
Yeah.
for
I know what
Godzilla
you mean.
fighting off a bunch of Mutos was kind of cool, and I like how Godzilla ends up becoming the protagonist rather than a villain and all that stuff. Unlike
Yeah.
the 1998 abomination of a Godzilla movie, which came out the same year as the Mighty Kong, which is another terrible piece of junk, which I can't wait to rant on. Godzilla 1998.
Well,
This is considered to be the worst Godzilla movies I've ever seen in my entire life, because they screwed up Godzilla's character really, really bad in that movie. Like, he doesn't even look like Godzilla that we see from the 90s and all that stuff. He looks like a giant mutant lizard type of thing, like a iguana-like creature. And
well, they were
yet
leaning on
he
that.
has a lot of babies and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
they look like generic dinosaur-like characters. And the worst offender of Godzilla 1998 is that it manages to rip off Jurassic Park by having the raptor like Godzilla's do all that stuff.
Oh,
I mean,
Yeah.
Sorry.
if you've seen Jurassic Park and you
am I
compare
cutting in
Godzilla-
and out? Sorry to interrupt, but am I cutting in and out?
Oh,
it's okay.
Well, you're in now.
hey, Alex. How's
Um,
it going?
Yeah. Sorry. Like I said, my laptop's on the fritz, but
Uh-oh.
Oops.
Oh, boy.
boy. Here we go again.
yeah. You know what?
I have to
Maybe I could just leave right now.
Well,
Okay.
comments still work.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Like I said,
No, it's all
laptop
right.
on the
I wouldn't.
fritz.
Wish you
It's
could
all
join
right.
us.
Well, it's nice having you here.
Yeah.
So good to see you again.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
and
Oh dear.
like I was saying with
Technology.
Jurassic Park and Godzilla 1998, I mean, it's like the 1988 Godzilla movie is just cashing in on the Jurassic franchise, especially on the first movie. And instead of something killing off Godzilla, Godzilla in the 1998 movie gets killed by freaking missiles, tiny missiles that are like the size of tables, going through Godzilla and then killing him off instantly. Like, why? Why did they ruin Godzilla's character? Man, it's such a stupid movie. So stupid that I have to rant on it soon enough.
I've always
And
So the one from the 80s is actually the Dark Knight Returns of the series, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
all I've ever seen of that Godzilla movie was the Nostalgia Critic review, and the only thing I really remember from it is the "That's a lot of fish" line.
oh yeah, and getting the topless name wrong and all that stuff.
And
But at least in Godzilla Final Wars, they took that Godzilla and renamed it Zilla, and that Zilla gets roasted by the actual Godzilla, proving that Japanese Americans cannot screw up something that is from Japanese, not at all. So
they do it easily.
Godzilla roasted the crap out of Zilla by
Hey,
killing him into a building, and then he's gone
is it better now?
for good.
Much
I think
better.
so.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So to get back on the point about Godzilla, yeah, I have mixed feelings about the 1998 movie because, yes, we can agree it was awful. It was like, but I have mixed feelings.
Oh no.
Oh no!
Oh, Marcos, not again.
Oh boy. I
Man,
hate
Oh,
technology
man.
sometimes.
yeah. Let me just
you have
do
mixed
something really
feelings
quick.
about-
Yeah. So, yeah, it has some flaws, definitely.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If you pretend it's like a remake of Beast of 20,000 Fathoms and not Godzilla, because it's not a good Godzilla movie, but as a generic monster movie, it's...
Oh no.
Oh,
Oh boy.
Oh, there. As a
wow,
generic
is
monster
this...
movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it does fit that. Although the
Mhm.
animated series on Fox was awesome.
Oh, yeah, that was awesome. That was really good.
I would
Yeah,
stick
love
with
it.
the Godzilla in the MonsterVerse series, like
Yeah.
Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, King of the
Mhm.
Monsters, and both Godzilla vs. Kong, which I like those movies.
Yeah. Those are really good, yeah.
And that
I
does
wish they would've-
find another question about some of these reboots is when can we know that some of them stand on their own? Like, if you took away the original on some of them, would you know it to be its own original movie? Would it still be good as its own?
Well, with Godzilla, that's a good point because with the original Godzilla, it's more of it's a recent thing I've noticed because, because people have acknowledged, even the studio that makes
On.
yeah,
Because even the studio that makes Godzilla.
yeah, they've acknowledged it's terrible. They referenced it in one of the movies where they had the real Godzilla kill that guy in a really funny fight. Yeah. It was like literally 3 seconds. He jumps at him, swats him with his tail, and boom. That's
Oh
how the-
yeah,
Godzilla
Yeah.
Final
killing
Wars.
off Zilla.
Yes,
Are you talking
Godzilla.
about Godzilla Final Wars, Alex?
Yeah. Yes, that
Oh
one.
yeah, I like that moment where
Yeah.
Godzilla roasted the crap out of Zilla and
Yeah.
destroying him instantly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think because of time, people have been more kind to it, and I guess it's like time can probably change perception of something, perhaps, maybe.
It has happened before.
Right, because I remember hearing The Shining, the original version of The Shining got terrible reviews, but now it's considered a classic. Where when they
Yeah.
ended up doing it again and it was more faithful, people hated that one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mainly because
Yep,
it took
it-
too long on a lot, and
Yeah.
well,
It's basically
I
like
think
Hey,
it did
Jonathan.
something
over
that
again.
I think it did something that movies should not be doing, which
What?
is when adapting from a book, they rely too much on the text from the book and the buildup that the book can create versus a buildup that a movie could create are completely different worlds.
Yeah.
And when you
Yeah.
combine it, it doesn't entirely work if in the wrong hands. And
Yeah.
the remake of The Shining was in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for Jack's character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Jonathan.
Hey, Jonathan.
Mhm.
Yeah, and there are some things there is one thing that I think should be mentioned.
Mhm.
When a remake or reboot comes out, it should not be just about the money. That helps
Sorry.
a lot. Because case in point, the Ben-Hur remake. Their excuse was we're just trying to capture classic Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
Baloney. They were just trying to get a quick buck, and we all
Yeah.
know it.
Uh-huh.
They didn't fool us for a second. We all knew it. Everybody knew that. We're not as dumb as they think we are. We all knew that's what it was really about. And that's why everybody hated that movie so much.
Yeah.
Even the critics hated that movie. I remember only one good thing
Yeah.
was mentioned in my newspaper. No horses were harmed in the making of this film. That's literally what they said.
Got that in my mind.
Yeah. Also, is it just me or like I might be wrong about this, but like didn't it feel like all the advertisements for that movie were just the chariot scene?
Yeah,
Pretty much.
exactly.
That's what it felt like. It was just like oh, there's this cool chariot scene. Let's update it with special effects.
Yep, that's it. That's
have
it.
I
no
wonder if
idea.
Star Wars
Yeah.
already did that.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
just it. I mean, that's another thing. People noticed that, and they thought, "Oh boy, that means the whole movie's gonna suck eggs big time." And that's exactly what happened too.
Yeah.
For anybody who saw it, they hated it. I didn't bother with it because I knew better. My movie sense was tingling, and it's so yeah. So, and you notice you can't find the DVDs anywhere. What does that tell you? Not even in the dollar bin.
Wow.
You really can't. And but the key thing is, don't do it to make a quick buck. That's where you go wrong in the worst possible
Man,
way.
That hint goes to
man.
I'll give that hint to the Lady in the Tramp remake again because that felt rushed.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the Disney remakes that are not princess oriented actually feel rushed.
Yeah.
I mean, like, have you noticed this? That the princess remakes actually have the most effort compared to the others.
Probably because the princess ones are person, and they're like the ones that people are probably going to go see. That's what I think.
Well, because people don't want to see Pinocchio again, or they don't want to see Peter Pan again, because clearly those aren't popular.
Or Dumbo.
No, they're not. They're just there just to sell toys or merchandises or having costumes for Halloween or cosplays, because that's what I thought of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, anyway, there's one kind of film that's kind of a remake, but was a pretty interesting film. Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow.
Oh yeah. That was a good film.
I think it was good on its own, but when comparing it to the book, I can't help but laugh because
I haven't seen that.
I mean, if you say the words Constable Ichabod Crane, just kills me.
Well, yeah, in the original
coward, selfish
Disney
teacher.
He's a school teacher. So.
Not just Disney. This is Washington Irving's book.
Yeah.
And the only time Disney ever followed a book.
Yeah.
That's true.
Mhm.
That's true, and they were very spot on with that one.
Although I guess we can all agree Christopher Walken as the Headless Horseman, though.
Yeah,
I thought he was awesome. I really did.
yeah, very ferocious.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love how they stuck with the backstory of his origin. Very
Yeah.
true to the.
Yeah, but it's a little different how his backstory was in
Well,
the book
sure.
because it was
Yeah.
not from a sword; it was from a cannonball. How he lost his head.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
And the rest of us lost our heads while watching him roar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
I couldn't resist that one.
That was funny. But I did love how Brom Bones did pull that prank on Ichabod. Totally straight out of the story, how we all suspect that he was the Headless Horseman with the pumpkin, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all suspected. Yeah.
That scam.
Tim Burton.
Yeah, and I called that out last year on Halloween. I don't know if you guys saw that. Joshua, Bonnie, I think
I
you
don't
did.
know if I did see that.
Which one?
I don't know.
Which one?
Oh, my little video talking about asking the question of.
Oh yeah,
It was
I saw it.
basically about all the Hairless Horsemen throughout the years, but I covered 3 versions. There was the Disney version, the Wishbone version from the TV series, and of course the Tim Burton version. I had to throw that in there because they bring that out big time, Oh,
There
and the
was one
book,
with
of course.
Jeff-
I forgot about
There
that.
was one with Jeff Goldblum where pretty much he was real.
Yeah.
Oh, I like
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum.
But he pretty much helped Ichabod in this one.
Mhm.
Don't
Yeah.
ask
By the
how.
way,
Mhm.
when I blogged the Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad a couple years ago, I mentioned another Sleepy Hollow film that I discovered on YouTube a while ago, which is called The Haunted Pumpkin of Sleepy Hollow, which is like an
I
animated.
saw that.
And what did
Wow.
you think when you saw it? Did you like it or hate it?
I actually thought it was kind of interesting because it put a new spin on that classic tale, almost like a sequel or a follow-up in a way. I thought it was
Right.
fascinating.
Right.
And that's something I want to see reboots do is add a new spin and
Yeah.
actually try. I'll admit it's one of the reasons why I have a guilty pleasure with Pinocchio, as in Disney's reboot Pinocchio. I'm not a fan of some of the things they did, like that Chris Pine joke. I think that was awful.
I was watching a video on that.
That should have been left out, though.
I cringed so hard at that.
I did like the ballerina twist.
Sabina, yeah, she was
Sabina.
beautiful.
That was a really cool story, and I'll be honest,
What
I think
was
it did
that?
a much better lesson about trust than Raya did. Yes, I said it. This reboot did a
haven't-
better job.
I haven't
talking
seen
about
that,
story.
so I'll have to take your word on that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is worth pointing out, but Sabina kind of reminded me of Twinkle from the Emperor of the Night movie.
Oh,
I haven't
that was
seen that. I
another
saw a
video.
review.
Well, like it's where Pinocchio is mostly a real boy and encounters
I
this dark wizard known as the Emperor of the Night, who's
Yeah,
played by Jones.
I saw a review of that, but I haven't seen the whole movie.
I did,
Yeah.
and also one part that's really terrifying when Pinocchio reverts back to a marionette.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. What was that?
Oh, I remember that, Jonathan.
Mhm.
Oh, by the way, I have to ask this.
Mhm.
Since Disney is constantly rebooting their movies, we can all say that they shouldn't reboot anything further, but if they have to reboot everything, what's one movie they should never, ever reboot
Never ever.
that they have not rebooted yet or announced rebooting? If no one's got one yet, I'll throw mine in. No rebooting Emperor's New Groove.
Oh yes, not that.
Agreed.
Agreed. And I would say that one too.
Yes,
Perfect
if they do that,
City.
I'm going to have to make waterfall jokes big time on that.
If they do that,
And,
I'm going to scream like Yzma
Yeah.
and lose my voice over it, obviously.
Anyway, to answer Jonathan, as much as I like the Disney Plus remake of Pinocchio, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio deserves the Oscar.
I haven't
Pretty
seen that, but
much.
I do agree.
And to be fair,
I
I think
remember
that's a
that
better
Pinocchio
reboot.
movie.
But still, that film made me think of Pan's Labyrinth because, like that film, it takes like a realistic event like World War I, and he makes it his own fairy tale film.
World War
fantasy.
II, actually.
Well, yeah, but still.
Oh, and Joshua, I sent you a link to that video I made some time back.
I saw it already. And also, like with the
Okay,
Little
cool.
Mermaid, I can't believe that Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio mentioned Sardinia, my family's home island.
Interesting.
Kitty.
Very funny.
No,
On
Yeah.
my dad's side, that is.
let me see.
Any other Disney ones?
Were we talking about ones never to remake, or
Yeah.
Can we
Disney
just
movies
say
not remake that have not been announced yet, and
Emperor's
why
New
they
Groove
should
is
not be
wrong.
remade?
If anything,
For me, I say don't reboot Emperor's New Groove because the comedy that comes from the animation in there cannot be replicated in live action. It would look slower and awful and awkward. And Eartha Kitt was perfect as Yzma. You cannot do that.
Even
They had a
though
great cast.
Yzma is not as threatening or scary, she's more like laughable still.
She's hilarious.
Oh yeah,
she is.
all the characters were great in that one. They can't be matched. I mean, David Spade, who could fit his shoes as the Emperor?
Yeah.
Really?
We
I
agree,
like
John,
David
that
Spade.
Disney should not remake Nightmare.
Oh hell
no, not Nightmare.
No.
They can't
Not
even.
a good idea.
They can't even get
No.
Jack They can't even get Jack Skellington to look right in the theme parks. How do you think they'll do it in a movie?
I don't want to think about that.
If they were to make a sequel to that film, I can agree, but remake, no. Never.
There was a video game sequel. There was a video game sequel, but no live
I
action.
played that game. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I hope they
But
don't
no.
remake like the Black Cauldron or some of.
I would not be opposed to that. Actually, it has potential.
Right, because keep in mind the Black Cauldron is based off a book series, so that
Chronicles of Prydain.
right.
And the movie did flop big time.
Yeah, because of how dark it was.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it. The Great Mouse Detective. Don't touch that one.
Yeah.
Leave
No,
it
no,
alone.
no,
Yeah,
no.
Great Mouse Detective.
You
yeah.
cannot compete
No.
with Vincent Price. Not possible.
Yeah, his
Or,
favorite movie he's
Oliver
ever
and
done.
Company. What about
Or-
Oliver and Company?
And they'll look abominable as CGI mice.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't even know if. Oliver and Company. I don't think so either.
Well,
Did
even
you
though
s-
that's like an animal take on Oliver Twist, so
It is, yeah. It is.
They made
And
them
pretty darn good
human.
one.
Okay, but
Perhaps.
don't.
Yeah. And let's see. What about Rescuers Down Under? What do you guys think on that?
remake of
Well,
Rescue-
there would have to be a remake of Rescuers 1. So
right,
Yeah,
don't
true,
remake
true,
either.
true.
which is based off a book series by Marguerite Sharp.
yeah.
I swear, do not remake either because, I mean, Rescuers is okay, but Rescuers Down Under, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
You
And
cannot
the only reason-
recreate that flying eagle scene.
I
Right.
know, right?
And I admit, like I've already told you guys, that the reason why I never saw that sequel in theaters because I was too young. I was barely I was only like a couple months old when that was released.
I got another one. Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Don't touch it.
Long
Leave
live
that
Angela
alone.
Lansbury,
Yep.
or maybe rest in peace, but still
Yeah.
Yeah.
that role.
Angela Lansbury. I forget who Mr. Brown was. I mean, I can't remember his name. That's the problem.
David
Mr. Brown is the same
Yeah.
guy who played George Banks.
David
Yeah.
Thompson.
I remember that. That's it. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Obvious joke.
What?
What?
They should. Home on the Range and Chicken Little.
I could see potential in those because with Home on the Range, actually, the original draft was that Alameda Slim was going to hypnotize the cattle to go up to the White House and storm it and take over. That actually sounds like a better plot than just getting revenge on the ranchers just because they didn't like his yodeling.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
But, you know, I don't know if you guys realize that one of the songs in that film was actually inspired by 9/11.
Oh,
Which one?
barnacles.
Will
I
the
don't like
Sun Never
9/11.
Shine Again.
Ouch.
Which one?
You know, that Rain song?
Oh,
That's crazy.
Oh, now I can see it.
Yeah,
can
because
definitely see
Alan
that.
Menken actually did say that during his review concert at the Segerstrom back in 2016. And while listening to the lyrics, I can understand why that was inspired by that tragic event.
Now, what about Chicken Little?
Well, I know that the
Little, there's
original
definitely-
plan was that Chicken Little was originally going to be a girl going to a camp. And they were not going to involve aliens, but they were involving wolves in sheep clothing.
Yeah. There was an original one, too, that was made as like an allegory for World War II.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
honestly,
not many
I
people
think
talk
that sounds
about
like a
that.
more compelling idea.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I mean, I think it's an original story for the most part, but the main thing I never liked was the townspeople and just how unlikable everybody
Chicken
was.
Little.
Yeah, and it
Oh.
all makes the Buck why everyone's so mean to him.
He's
Buck,
the
worst
worst.
dad.
I hate
Ladies and gentlemen, worst
It is
dad of the
literally
year.
the worst chicken. It is
Yes.
literally the
And
worst
you
Disney
know who
animated
another
films I've
bad
ever seen.
dad in Disney history is? Dr. Griffiths.
Dr.
From which-
Griffiths?
From
Dr.
which movie?
Griffiths from the third Tinkerbell movie.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I haven't seen
Man,
that.
he's
Neither
just
have I.
as bad as Bug Cluck from Chicken Little. And as for
Hmm.
Bug Cluck,
A parent should
Don't
never
even start
push their
with him.
kid away.
Nope.
Yeah.
one of the worst movie dads I have ever seen in animation history. I mean, the only problems I have with Chicken Little is how mean-spirited it really is. And how unlikable the characters are.
Yeah.
They're just not
My big issue.
likable.
Oh,
And I
sorry.
generally think that it's not just disrespectful to the Disney Corporation, but also animation in general.
Still,
My biggest. Oh, sorry.
but Abby Mallard, Fish Out of Water, and Run to the Litter, and Kirby were good characters still.
Yeah, they were okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but I didn't like a lot of the jokes because they just threw
They
everything at
felt
the
like
wall.
it came right out of a DreamWorks movie.
Very, very how. Very, very how do you do, kill fellow kids?
What Shrek was
Yeah.
doing.
This
Yeah.
I think Disney
this could
was
really
trying
use
to
a
do what Shrek
reboot,
was
just
doing.
not live action.
Yeah, and you know, one other thing, my biggest gripe with that was always the fact that too much of like maybe the promos and not to mention a part of the story feels like a ripoff of MIB and War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
They
feels like a
even
ripoff of that.
mentioned that during the Rampage.
Yeah, and that's
Not to
terrible.
mention,
That's just
it
wrong.
also borrows elements from Shrek. Like,
Oh
Disney,
yeah,
it's like,
that's right.
is
Yeah,
Disney
You know what?
allowed to
I know
borrow
that
elements
Disney and
from Shrek?
DreamWorks were rivals, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
but-
much just felt like they looked at DreamWorks and were like, "Oh yeah, we can do that too."
Actually, they were doing that with Pixar. They were pretty much, they were parting ways with Pixar and tried to do the animation on their own, and it really shows. But
Yeah, it
I can
fails
forgive the
miserably.
animation because
Yeah.
I've seen much worse I've seen
Oh, yeah.
much worse computer animation, aka Rhapsody Street Kids Believe in Santa. Heck, if you want to reboot that, go ahead.
Yeah.
And do it with animation that actually tries.
Let me see.
Oh, and
here.
a better story.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I can name another one that should never be rebooted or remade or whatever. Finding Nemo.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Pixar could ever allow remakes of their films. I don't think they could.
Maybe not,
Yeah.
but still, you
But it-
know, someone might try it. And the problem is, you know, don't forget this, they were done with CG. So what else is there? Have real
And-
fish and do voiceovers?
Still, do you
Finding
know
Nemo was.
what made
it
these
was
Pixar
slow.
films special? They're inspired by the crew's experiences.
That's true. That's
and
what
Finding
makes it
Nemo
work.
is probably
Yeah.
one of their most mature movies.
Yeah,
And
it
Oh,
was.
I
I
like
also
Finding
like how it deals with disabilities.
That's
Oh
true.
yeah, that's right. Because
Yeah.
Nemo has a.
Gimpy
Plus-
Finn, yeah.
Yeah,
Also, one of the
which is a birth defect. No thanks to
Yep.
that Barracuda.
Yep.
And Dory has a disability too.
She does.
That's right.
Short-term memory loss.
yeah.
And in a way, you know,
Short-term memory
for
loss, eh?
Marlin, you know, he's so afraid of losing Nemo so bad that he's going by his ideas and no one else's until,
Yeah.
you know, he because of a mistake he made where Dory got hurt, he starts to kind of, you know, just loosen up a little, so to speak.
Dealing with
You know,
grief.
because he's too overwhelmed with grief and or fear at the same time.
And
And-
loss.
And loss,
And-
yes, that's
Mhm.
right.
The sad thing
And-
is, I don't think reboots can capture that anymore, or
Nope.
they
Yeah.
don't even try. Because
Nope.
if they were to remake Finding Nemo, I think they would have Marlin get over the grief easily.
Yeah.
Because-
Oh, and
Most of the time, their main characters are too perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm not the only one who sees this. As
All
much
of us.
as I like Pinocchio, he almost little to never needs a conscience. He knows what the right thing is. Even when he's on Pleasure Island, he's like, this doesn't feel right. I mean, kudos for that
Oh.
line, but
Mhm.
like, he already knows what the right and wrong thing is. He's too
Yep.
perfect. And
Yep.
Mulan in there, in the remake, she's a Mary Sue.
Yeah.
I haven't seen those, but I'll take your word for that.
Yeah.
speaking of which, and do you know that Universal and DreamWorks are making a live-action How to Train Your Dragon movie?
No.
That
Oh,
No.
I
Well,
forgot about
they're
That
that.
I
is
heard of
something
that.
should
How to
not
Train Your
Based on a
Dragon.
book.
I'm not joking.
Mhm.
I
I mean, I
forgot all
know How to
about that.
Train Your Dragon is based off a book. but-
Yeah, it is.
Interesting.
It is.
I know it's based off of a book, but good grief. Look at what they did in animation with the How to Train Your Dragon. There was so much subtlety, body
I know.
language,
Yeah.
studying each other.
Even the series
figuring
was
out
good.
their weaknesses,
I haven't read.
the music. It was just they're gonna take that away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't read the books, but for what I've heard, like Toothless apparently is like a tiny dragon. But this one they like changed it. So, I mean, yeah, what they did in those movies was great. It just feels like, oh, we just want to make cool CG dragons.
Oh,
Pretty
yeah.
much, yeah.
Hell, I even got the Blu-ray of the 3 How to Train Your Dragon films.
Yeah,
First
nice.
film, the sequel, and the third film. I
You should
got
get
this
the
off
series.
of Target on my birthday from 2021. Yeah. Got this on my
Yeah.
birthday.
I have those films too, and I also have the 2 Christmas specials.
Oh,
I
I
have the
forgot about
first one.
those.
Pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
They make Christmas specials?
Yeah,
They did.
2 of them. One is Gift of the Night Fury, and the other one being Homecoming.
That's awesome.
I think they were only
Yeah.
shown like maybe one time. I think I could be wrong about that though.
They're also on
Probably.
DVD.
The fact they're rebooting this in live action just really angers me, honestly, because
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
there's
That's
some
how
things
I
that
feel.
you can't do with animation that you can with live action.
Nope.
I mean,
Yeah.
there is vice versa as well, but
Yeah.
it's rare.
That's how I feel about this. You can't put it back in the box.
Nope.
Yeah.
Once again, it's coming down to doing it just for the money, just to make a
And
quick
I
buck.
heard that there's rumors that there's also going to be another reboot of another classic, and this
Shrek?
one, no,
Oh,
it's not
I heard.
DreamWorks. Well, actually, kind of is DreamWorks. It's live action. I forget which company did it, but should I just say it?
What is it?
Princess Bride.
Oh.
Well, there's
Didn't
something
they,
I didn't hear about.
didn't they already do that?
No,
Well-
not yet, but they plan to. And
I think there were a few that copy its style. That might be what happened
And
there.
Carrie Elwes actually, when the rumors went around, he actually posted on Twitter himself.
Mhm.
There's a shortage of perfect movies in this world. It'd be a pity to damage this one. If the star of the movie says that, you better be listening.
Oh boy.
Or heck, I'll even borrow from Miracle Max's quotes. And thank you so much for bringing up such a painful subject. While you're at it, why don't you give me a nice paper cut and pour lemon juice on it?
Wait a minute. Are you telling me that they're remaking Princess Bride? Like,
Likely.
I've seen the two movies
Well-
on the Disney Plus, and they're really good in my opinion. I like the first film of Princess Bride, and I gotta be real here that that's the only Disney princess movie that I ever watched and I ever enjoyed.
Wait.
Not to mention Princess Protection Program, which is a Disney Channel movie, which is about a princess that couldn't fit in the modern world and all that stuff. Yeah, that's really good too, and possibly one of my favorite ones out there. Because if you haven't seen Princess Protection Program, it's on the Disney Plus and on the Disney Channel movies and all that stuff.
And
haven't seen
DVD as well.
Yeah, like that.
Protection yet.
Princess Protection Program.
Sorry.
You know, with Demi Lovato and Selena Gomez.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah. I haven't seen that one yet, though. I to be honest, I'm getting tired of these Disney remakes popping up over and over, and non-Disney remakes also, because, well, I don't know, they just need a break, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I
That's
think,
how
one
I
of the things-
feel.
one of the things I loved about the Little Mermaid reboot is that because the COVID-19 shut them down, they had to take more time. It took about 5 years to make this movie. 5 years. And for Pinocchio and Lady and the Tramp, it took about 2 years to make. That's the same amount of time as the Emoji Movie was made.
Oof.
2 years is not enough time for a movie. It needs
Yeah.
more. If you want more effort with it.
Yeah.
I pretty much agree with you, Bonnie. And not to mention, I wanted to bring this up, but if they do like a remake of one of my favorite films from the 2000 and possibly one of my favorite Disney movies like Dinosaur. If they do like a remake of Dinosaur, then most of the dinosaurs you see there will be scientifically accurate to their fossil-like counterparts, like the iguanodons having beaks instead of lips, and the Carnotauruses look like giant Tyrannosauruses with horns and all that stuff, which
And they'd probably
the real
be the
animal was not like that in real life and all that stuff. And it will be like Jon Favreau style, because Jon Favreau was an expert with animals like Jungle Book and Lion King, and not to mention this dinosaur miniseries that Jon Favreau worked on, known as Prehistoric Planet. I mean, it's a great series. Features about these dinosaurs living in their daily lives, and they're scientifically accurate. It's like a recreation of Walking with Dinosaurs, the 1999 series Walking with Dinosaurs, but it's with David Attenborough and Jon Favreau. And if you look at Prehistoric Planet, many of the dinosaurs look absolutely real. And it's not like the dinosaurs that we see from Jurassic Park, The Land Before Time, or Dinosaur, or the Dino King. They look like actual dinosaurs that we see on screen, like the Tyrannosaurus swimming to a place like that. Raptors having feathers like Velociraptor, Atrociraptor, and Dromaeosaurus. And then dinosaurs coordinate their attacks and living in packs and all that stuff. Like, it's like a nature documentary. I mean, and it's a really good series. I even made a review on it back in January and all that stuff. And as for the second season of Prehistoric Planet, was so badass and all that stuff. And yeah. And not to mention, there's also another dinosaur media that is coming to Netflix. It's basically like Prehistoric Planet, but it's around with Cenozoic, Mesozoic, and Paleozoic, called Life in Our Planet. It's coming to Netflix on November. Yeah. So, as for my thoughts on the remake of Dinosaur, if they want to do a remake, then chances are it would have been executed in the nice way, and try to flesh out the characters a lot more and add scenes that are not part of the movie, like Crone rescuing Mira from the raptors, Ema refusing to live with the herd after she gets tired and all that stuff, and then Yara and Ema start arguing and all that. And the most important thing about Dinosaur is that the old Gautama's nesting grounds, where Ema tells Aladar about old Gautama, where old Gautama was the one that was leader before the valley and all that stuff. And yeah, they need to add that there so that way it could express to the audience and express to the story and all that.
Though I'm a little skeptical if Disney might do that, because one of
Yeah.
the things I've actually noticed about most of their remakes is that, or at least some of the remakes that are not princess oriented, is that they tend to focus on the wrong things. Or they tend to give more time to the wrong things and skip over the important details, which again was another reason why I don't like Lady and the Tramp, or why I think it's the worst one, because they focused on the wrong. They gave more attention to the wrong moments and glossed over important moments, like when Lady hears about the baby and getting used to having the baby around. They skip that part, and that's actually important. They don't even give time. They don't even give the right timing to Lady or the Tramp's relationship with each other either. They somehow manage to make themselves longer without focusing on the right things. And
Oh yeah.
Pinocchio's guilty of that, and Peter Pan and Wendy actually did a little bit of a better job on that part. But yeah, I mean, and even some of the Disney princess remakes also focus on the wrong moments occasionally. I mean,
What?
and I think if they remade Dinosaur, I hope that they would focus on the right things, on the right things to develop. But I'm a little skeptical because of how they've handled their longer movies.
Right.
Dinosaur also just seems too obscure.
Right. But
Yeah.
anyway.
I think they're pretty on point with Jungle Book, but you can go ahead.
Anyway, like I know that Jon Favreau is giving us a sequel to Jungle Book soon, but he didn't say when, though.
I would like to see a sequel to that. In all honesty, because one, I heard that the book does have a sequel, but also because, well, like as much as I love the Jungle Book, I think the ending was rushed.
Yeah.
They didn't wrap anything up. They didn't wrap up whether or not he decided to stay in to go to the Man Village or stay in the jungle. I mean, they kind of did, but they wrapped it up more with him just laying down on the tree.
Right. Though, if the sequel was made, I have one idea of who the main antagonist could be.
Who?
Buldeo.
Oh, yes.
I need to read the book for that.
I think he was a hunter in the original book, he was the village leader.
Yeah, he was a storyteller, but due to Mowgli's experience in the jungle, he sees him as a fibber.
Oh yes, pretty much. He was gonna be in the animated one, but they cut him out.
Yeah, but he got scrapped.
Oh yeah, I think they're gonna go for a take like Tarzan. Like it's basically like Tarzan, where they have this human villain like Clayton, who goes around and hunts for animal stuff, like gorillas and all that stuff. So you're telling me that they're basically like this hunter for a Jungle Book that is like similar to Tarzan, Disney's Tarzan, but somewhat different? I can understand that.
Buldeo was kind of made before Tarzan, so keep in mind what makes Buldeo an antagonist is that when Mowgli killed Shere Khan, Buldeo wants to take the credit. And when he sees that Mowgli communicating with animals, he sees him as a sorcerer. And he turns the whole village against him by having them throw stones at him.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Poor boy.
Yeah.
I'd be interested if
seems
Disney
tragic.
actually
Yeah.
attempted that.
Well, this is
But
awkward.
then again,
And not only
I'm
that,
not.
You're
but he
right.
also accuses Masua and her family of for giving Mowgli shelter.
Not funny, man. I don't believe it.
I know it's not justified. I mean, that's totally unjust.
Yikes. I am almost very doubtful that Disney would do that, but I'd love to see them do it because
Yeah.
Disney occasionally does handle dark material, but lately it seems like they're trying to dodge the dark material.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you could say that Kipling was more than Disney could handle at the time.
Oh yeah. There's still a lot of stuff they didn't put in there.
Which is one of the reasons I do like the 2016 remake. They tried a few things that Kipling had. But they also tried their own material. And didn't try to copy the movie note for note. And it could have been a lot darker, but I like what they went with. But I really think that, maybe I'm wrong, and I'd like to be proven wrong, but I think Disney remakes are trying to lighten things up a little too much. Like,
Oh yes. Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Like for example, I'll be honest. This is my favorite Disney movie. So when I heard it was getting a remake, I didn't see it. So I just skimmed through it a bit. So I might need to watch the whole movie. But when they did Dumbo, I saw the pink elephants on parade scene, and I was like, oh, it's Tim Burton. It's gonna be creepy. I looked at it. I was like, wow, this is not creepy at all.
Well,
Was Tim Burton having an off day?
They were too scared to show Dumbo getting drunk, clearly.
Well, I mean, you can't do that anymore. You can't show a kid getting drunk. So I understood that. I was even skeptical that they would even do it, because I was like,
and a bubble show. I can understand that.
Yeah, that makes sense. But can you at least make it
the ending?
creepy?
I thought was, I didn't like the ending that much.
Oh yeah, I do. As an animal lover, I hate circuses a lot. So I am glad they went with that route. Even though it does take place in a time where people didn't really care about that stuff. So
yeah.
But still, I give them kudos for that.
There was one thing I did like about this Dumbo remake, and some of the chances that it did take. Because one of the things I always thought when watching the animated movie was, what do you do with a flying elephant in a circus? And they actually take that question and make a movie out of it. So kudos for that. And
True.
But still, some of the choices that they make in there are pretty dumb. Like, they try to keep Dumbo away from his mother. Why?
Oh yeah.
That'll make him fly even more. Just see.
Yeah.
Yes. Perform.
And do you know what I think about the main villain? He seems like another Charles Mintz.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Because I love the original movie so much because it's such a simple message. It's like
And I said Mintz, not Muntz, because Mintz is the guy who took Oswald away from Walt.
Oh yeah.
And some of Walt's crew too.
Oh yeah. So like I was saying, like I said, it had such a simple message of you're different. That makes you special. Such a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer story,
Right.
Oh yeah.
But this one, it felt like it was just gonna be. Oh, and that's another thing about this movie. It came out really bad time, because it was trying to push the whole big mergers are evil. This came out shortly after people.
It came out shortly after what?
Oh, sorry, I must have cut out. So, like I said, it came. It was trying to push this whole message of these mergers are evil, because the whole the Michael Keaton was buying the circus and trying to make it bigger, and they were trying to push that whole like these mergers are evil, and it came out after they bought Fox and they laid off so many people.
Hypocrites much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I don't believe it.
Big mergers are evil, says the big merger company.
Yeah.
Well, at least with Annie Get Your Gun, Frank Butler and Annie Oakley merging, that's handled better.
Yeah.
Tito.
And anyway, before this whole live stream began, Brian and I were kind of talking about an upcoming remake that's been done before, Haunted Mansion.
I haven't seen the original. I mean, I've heard stuff about it, not really good stuff, but
Well, yeah, but still, the other version of the Haunted Mansion was handled with Muppets too.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet. I really need to watch those, but you know what's funny? I have not seen any commercials for that. The only commercials I've seen for this is an I don't know what it is, but it was literally like it was a tie-in commercial for like some advertisement thing. That's the only thing I've seen of it. That's the only reason I even know it's coming out. I haven't seen any trailers or anything.
Man.
You want to know one thing that I said about the Muppet Haunted Mansion on Facebook?
What?
So I can't remember how I phrased it, but I basically had this little thing. Trying to remember how I said it. I don't know what's more scary, the fact that we have a Haunted Mansion movie or the fact that we have a Muppet movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Stellar Roller. You have to have a heckling moment.
Yes. Yeah.
But still, I think I kind of have high hope for this new one because
Oh yeah.
it's gonna be a bit scarier than the one with Eddie Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
I think anything's scarier than Eddie Murphy. I mean, Eddie Murphy is a very talented.
Oh, he is.
And Jennifer Tilly's also very great, but both of them were heavily miscast in this movie.
From what I've heard, it suffered from the constant rewrites.
The costumes were okay, but
Yeah.
it was really the casting. I mean,
Yeah.
the characters were not interesting, and Madame Leota was. I can't believe she was played by Jennifer Tilly. She really should have been played by somebody like Kate Blanchett.
Yeah.
That's a commanding presence.
Yeah.
But let's hope that Jamie Lee Curtis pulls it off this time.
Oh, she'll pull it off.
She's going to be Madame Leota?
Yep.
Oh, that's a good casting.
But one thing's for sure, she's not another Eleanor Audley.
Oh, no, she's not, but
Nobody's ever going to be Eleanor Audley.
No.
But, well, the person who dubs Eleanor Audley's Christmas.
Suzanne Blakesley does it in the Haunted Mansion Holiday.
She's no Eleanor Audley, but she still does a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. But...
I think it's going to be a good one. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know how good, but I'm confident.
And I should give it credit for including stuff that was not featured in the last one, like the stretching room, Constance Hatchaway, or even the Hatbox Ghost.
Yeah. I was going to say, because what was in the original one that was from the right? Because were the hitchhiking ghosts in the original? Or were they not? Okay.
Okay. And the singing heads were in there, but they were annoying in the Eddie movie.
Yeah, they were played by those Disneyland Dapper Dans.
Yeah.
And you could say the armory was a reference from the ride because there was an armor in the endless hallway room.
Yeah.
They had the dead bride in there, but a different story.
that's a different character, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
I think those
had
are-
a dead bride. They never mentioned which one. Because there was more than one dead bride before Constance Hatchaway.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Constance did not appear in the mansion until 2006.
Yeah.
They probably were basing it off of, well, any bride that they wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like some parts of that film were taken from Phantom Manor.
Probably.
Probably.
And why they went with Eddie Murphy, I have no idea. Channel
Probably because he
One
was popular
actually
at
came
the
up with
time.
a great fanscription where it should have been cast with Will Smith instead.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Of course, now we know how he would handle the ghosts.
Of course.
Keep
Yeah.
my wife's name out your mouth.
Chris should have ducked.
Hey, at least he didn't have his noisy cricket with him. So
Yeah.
remember how that went in MIB?
Cricket, noisy cricket.
That was the gun he had in MIB. The noisy cricket.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
I
Mhm.
see.
What's the matter, kitty?
Is it like Jimmy Cricket or something like that? Because
It's a Men in Black thing.
oh,
Yeah, it's a
I've
weapon.
only seen part of
Mhm.
one of the Men in Black movies. I forget which
Mhm.
one.
Oh,
And it
you
was
should.
shockingly in high school.
First one's great. Second one's very contradicting to the first one in a way. I
Mhm.
haven't seen the third one. The
Oh,
series
yeah.
is excellent.
Oh yeah, and then they did a reboot of that too.
Oh, great.
Wasn't it
Another
more like a
reason.
follow-up, but it's international?
Oh yeah, I think so.
not
Yeah.
about international.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Still
it's
can't
more
believe
like a
that
sequel.
Ghostbusters 2016 claimed to be a reboot.
Yeah.
But
Like
at least I
Ghostbusters.
kind of give that film credit for including some actors from the original.
Yeah.
Bill Murray and Sigourney Weaver and a few others.
The dragon was cool.
Though, let's be honest, the 2019 movie was really what we wanted.
I still need to watch that.
Are you sure
I
that
haven't-
Afterlife film was released in 2019?
I
felt
thought
like
it was.
that was 2020.
Oh no. No,
Yeah.
no, it came because it got delayed by the pandemic.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Sorry.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it was.
My bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the only flaw in that film, Sigourney Weaver being in the end credits.
Yeah, I understand
I mean,
that.
They might as well have not thrown her in there at all. Or better
Hmm.
yet, they should have had that scene moved up to like maybe just a little bit like after Ray gets the phone call from, Egon's niece, to maybe build up to, like all of a sudden they're doing that thing and all of a sudden he gets a phone call from Ray.
Yeah.
That would have been a lot better than
Right.
just right at the very last minute. It was like, why bother? Why bother having her there?
Yeah.
I haven't seen this one yet, so
Yeah. Oh, it's good except for that point. So
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
Recently, I can't believe some of the I don't know if you heard of this, Alex, but
But
apparently some of the movies that are getting rebooted, somebody,
what was that? Sorry.
a movie fan, you know about this, but apparently somebody had the bright idea to reboot the Twilight Saga series into a TV series.
Don't you mean the Twilight Zone?
No,
I
no.
mean Twilight Saga.
Oh yeah. Sorry. I was like Twilight Saga. I think you mean the Twilight Zone. They've rebooted that a couple times, but yeah, that is just.
Well, technically, with the Twilight Zone, I call that more of a flat-out rip-off on a few points, give or
Well,
take.
actually, there's so much you could do with the Twilight Zone, to be fair.
Oh yeah, they've rebooted it a couple times, and like
And one of
I
them
mean, obviously
was
you're
the life.
yeah, I mean, obviously you're never gonna top the Rod Serling one, but I mean, like they try.
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember the Twilight Zone, the movie. That was pretty cool, just because. But then you had those other ones like Tales from the Dark Side. That was clearly a kind of a rip-off of it. And then there was The Outer Limits, which ironically there was one back in the 50s, obviously playing off to the Twilight Zone's fame. And then there was, and that lasted for about 2 years, if I remember correctly. Then came a reboot of that series in the 90s, and that really took off. I think it was the late 90s that started, and that was pretty incredible too. It really was.
Yeah. That was also the guy who created Godzilla did kind of his own version. It was basically
what was it?
So the guy one of the co-creators of Godzilla did his own version of like Twilight Zone, or it was technically more like Outer Limits.
Yeah.
Called Ultra Q, and it led to pretty good, and it led to the creation of Ultraman.
That's pretty cool. I like the idea of that.
Yeah.
I like Godzilla in the Japanese version. And there's this other superhero media that I like alongside the Power Rangers, known as the Super Sentai. You know the Super Sentai?
Yeah, I know Super Sentai. I love Super Sentai.
Stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that is literally one of my favorite superheroes along with the Power Rangers. And that's how I became a big Power Ranger and Super Sentai fan myself.
Well, I mean, technically they're the same thing because Power Rangers is just them dubbing Super Sentai, but
yeah, it's the American version. Yeah, and here's one for you guys.
Super Sentai does a lot of things that the Power Rangers kind of do oftenly. But hey, for suit-wise,
guys, remember what we said about Narnia earlier?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if many people remember this version.
I do. I grew up with
that.
I
do.
First
I haven't seen that since I was in the third grade.
Cow.
Yeah, this one was made before the 2005 one, and can't believe it was directed by Snoopy himself. Bill Melendez.
Snoopy.
I remember watching
Bill Melendez himself directed this.
It was pretty good, actually. I do remember that. I saw that when I was in third grade.
Cartoon.
There was only one thing I did not like in that movie.
What was it?
What?
The changing of Morgrim's name into Fenris Ulf just to sound American.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like that. I mean, I'm American, but it's Morgrim. It sounds better. Fenris Ulf sounds pointless, and it doesn't sound intimidating.
Nope.
Kind of like how when what was it when Ralph Bakshi did Lord of the Rings, he changed Saruman to Ahriman.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They legit.
I'm not really the biggest fan of Ralph Bakshi at all, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I did like his take on the Butter Battle book, but still, his animation is very raunchy sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, following up on what you said, Alex, like seriously, why are they why Americanize something that already sounds really good? I mean,
kind of like what they did with what was it, Dougal? Dougal.
Oh yeah, that mess.
Any movie should be rebooted. That should be rebooted. To be fair, it had some okay animation, but
from what I heard, the original British version was okay.
Right, but the one here is a mess.
Yeah.
I can't believe the pop culture jokes that go on in every scene.
Yeah.
I mean, I love pop culture jokes, but that was overload.
Yeah.
Like, if they went with one, I mean, that'd be fine. But it gets to a point where you're like, where at least for me, I was like, that one too? How many of these are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to get off subject here, but I know if I don't say this now, it'll probably be too late. Alex and LBT there. Since you brought up Power Rangers, I have to ask this question. Have you ever seen a little movie called The Super Inframan?
I've heard.
That's an
sorry.
idea.
Sorry about that.
I think I've never seen it before, but I think I'll check it out. And
you should.
Not to mention, there's also a project on the Power Rangers that was based on the Power Rangers, known as Legend of the White Dragon. You know,
Yeah,
Legend
we're
of the
waying
White
for that.
Dragon?
Jason
Yeah, I'm
David
waiting
Frank's
for that
final
too.
film.
And I kind of
Yeah.
feel bad that Jason David Frank is not around anymore. The actor
Yeah.
who
Yeah,
played
I
Tommy
know.
Oliver in the Power Ranger
Mhm.
franchise. From
Yeah.
Mighty
Yeah, it was.
Morphin, Zeo, Turbo,
Mhm.
and Dino Thunder.
Yeah, well, it was worse
Uh,
for me
yeah.
because
I haven't seen it, so yeah, just to go off, I haven't seen it, but I saw, what was it, who's his name, James Rolfe's review of it. Yeah, basically, it's just everything goes boom.
yeah, that is very accurate. But the difference is he's just being comedic, of course.
I
But
know.
but it's really a good movie, and I still think
Yeah.
he may have had a hand in some inspiration for Super Sentai. So,
Mm.
in a way, maybe it inspired an episode or two. Who knows? But anyway, yeah, you guys you might want to check that out. You can actually find it on YouTube. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
I'll
But
check that up as you said, movie fan. I
yeah.
promise.
yeah, no
Yeah.
problem. I know I got to re-release my review of that one of these days, but
Mhm.
not today. It's not time. I got to
Yeah.
wait till summer ends before I get back to those regular reviews again. But anyway, because it's Video Game Wednesday, although I do have my other stuff. But anyway,
Mhm.
so yeah, I just
Also,
had to get that out of the way. So,
do you guys remember a film called The Little Princess?
Little Princess.
I
Never
remember
knew
hearing
that
about
movie
it.
existed.
Mhm.
Which
The one
one?
with
The
Shirley
Shirley
Temple?
Temple?
That's
yeah.
it.
That one got a remake in the 90s, and it was directed by the same guy who directed the third Harry Potter movie.
Really? Wow.
Hmm.
And
Oh, that's
to be
interesting.
honest, that film was handled pretty well too.
Yeah.
And that's something I like in those. In these remakes, and heck, Freaky Friday. That's a remake that I know pretty well. The changes that they made. I guess you could say that's an example of modern time working into a reboot.
Yeah.
Something
Oh.
that you said Annie
Oh, yeah.
failed to do.
Oh, I can name a good one. Treasure Planet. Technically, in a way, that was kind of a remake or a reboot
Oh,
of
yeah.
Treasure Island.
Even though that's
Yeah.
like another numerous attempt that Disney did. I mean, their first time they did it was in 1950, and then they did
Yep.
it again in the 90s with Muppets. And
Yep.
next thing you know, they did it as a sci-fi animated movie.
Yeah.
Yep, that's
And-
it.
And Christmas Carol, this recent Christmas Carol,
Oh yeah.
in 2022, actually made me question something.
What?
Should all source material? Should all reboots be the exact same as the source material, or should they be allowed to diverge occasionally? Because
I think
often
they
ask
should
myself
diverged
that
on
question.
a few things, like Ebenezer Scrooge's backstory, his sister's name, etc.
Probably I would say divert, because for starters, if you were to adapt every single thing, you'd get like a 5-hour movie, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
oh,
even
sorry.
sorry.
Okay.
So yeah, so the 5-hour movie thing, and what else is there that I wanted to say? Yeah, that's pretty much like if you were to adapt every single thing from a book, you would get like a massive movie. And then maybe there might be some things in the book that don't work, and you look at it and go,
That's
maybe
true.
we can fix this.
That's true. And you know, there have been plenty of films that have been remade way too many times, and I think we can all agree on that. I mean, case in point, how many Three Musketeers movies are there? A lot.
Oh yes.
There's
Not to
Yeah.
mention a Disney one.
Christmas Carol
I mean-
has been remade constantly.
Yep, that would be another one. I mean, Three Musketeers. There's some good ones out there, and surprisingly, one of them is with Gene Kelly, and that's technically a remake from the silent movie version. Yeah, and
Also,
that's
the Mickey Mouse one was great.
Oh yeah, that too. And I love the Musketeer from 2001. Now that takes a different approach from tradition. It really does. As for that one, I think it was in the 2012 region. That one was just way too overdone. It felt like Michael Bay was directing it.
Yeah. And speaking of the Asylum, that one got a ripoff too that made it sci-fi themed.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Down
I
that
hate the
studio,
Asylum.
please.
Yeah.
F the Asylum in the house.
Asylum. Studios.
Yeah,
please.
and let's
Yeah.
see. Yeah, so I've even asked myself that question too. When a movie's been remade so much, like that, or Tarzan, that's got a few
Mhm.
remakes, and then
Mhm.
there's Hercules, that's been redone way too much.
Yeah.
And it's like, can you change it up a little? I
Yeah.
think
make
that
them-
when it's been redone so much, the answer is yes. Look at the Disney version. Obviously, they
Yeah.
diverted away from the actual mythology because there's a
Mhm.
little too much adult stuff involved in
Oh
that.
yes.
So,
Yes.
but they made it work. They really
I-
did.
Well, I mean, I'm not really a big
And
fan
they
of the
even
Disney
made
version because of
stuff
that, but
that worked amazingly
Mhm.
It
for the
did.
most part, and
Mhm.
they made Hades likable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
They,
The only
they,
Yep, they did.
Mhm.
The only
They-
contradiction
I-
would be the series, in a way.
Yeah.
Though it does make me wonder with diverging, what makes it's probably hard trying to figure out how to ask this question properly, but
Hmm.
what makes diverging from Christmas Carol a little bit, making different changes okay, whereas with Maleficent it was not quite okay.
Um. Well, that's a bit tough because I haven't seen those.
Well, as I
Or
recall, one of the
Dumbo. How
big
about Dumbo?
complaints about, well,
Oh.
okay, go ahead.
Let's see. Well, I have seen a review of Maleficent, so I can probably tell you. I guess the Divergent thing is just because. I mean, for starters, do we really need a backstory for Maleficent? Do we really need that?
I don't know.
That's one thing, and it's like.
At least I think her backstory was handled
buddy.
better than with Rob Zombie's Halloween. That's for sure.
Yeah, true.
Well, Wicked didn't need a backstory, but it got a pretty cool backstory.
Yeah,
True. I guess.
can't wait for the upcoming movie. Well, actually,
Yeah.
two-parter movie starting next year.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess the problem is also with Maleficent is that they're trying to still have her be a villain, I guess. But trying to be like, oh, the king is clearly the villain. That's just what it felt like from what I've seen.
Like a twist villain.
And I remember a
pretty
lot were complaining that it
Pretty
was
much.
like basically playing off of Frozen's metaphor of love.
Yeah.
Brotherly love,
Oh.
sisterly love, family love, that sort of thing.
Speaking of Frozen, you know that the Snow Queen has been adapted many times too,
That's
Mhm.
true, yeah.
Yeah.
and not just a hand-drawn Russian animated one, but a CGI Russian franchise as well.
Yeah, and
Interesting.
I can just remember one movie that has been redone, ripped off, different versions so many times. It's
Uh-oh.
unbelievable.
But
Well, two actually. One, I'll start with a nice one. My Fair Lady. How many times has that concept come up on every TV show in existence?
I don't know.
The Simpsons,
multiple times.
Family Guy.
Family Guy. I think American Dad did do something like that once in a
Oh,
way, except it was to make Steve popular. That was the gag.
Mhm. Yeah.
And let's see, Andy Griffith Show did that with one of its characters. Oh my God, it has been so overused. It really has. I don't know why it keeps coming up. I mean, it was a good play, but come on, guys.
Mhm.
But that's a nice one. But here's the bad one. The
What?
Most Dangerous Game from the 1930s. 1933, I believe.
Oh,
I could be
I've
wrong
read
with that.
Yeah, I've read
That
book
one
on that.
has been ripped off so much. It's ended in pop culture. I'm not kidding. Almost every generation or so, it plays off of the same plot, literally the same plot. And the plot is you got this hunter who has hunted every animal around the world except the most dangerous kind, man. And when this couple gets stranded on his private island, guess what he plans to do? He plans to hunt them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
I don't believe it.
What?
Yeah. Actually, correction. In the original book, it was just one guy.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
but
in the
movie,
in the movie, they changed it to more than one.
yeah, and the problem is that has been ripped off and redone way too much in so many ways. I mean, there was a movie back in the early 2000s starring Stone Cold Steve Austin where the gag was it was prisoners sent to kill each other, and whoever's the last one standing can leave. And let's see. Then there was a movie called I know it was based off of a book, but let's get real. I'm pretty sure she ripped it off of this concept. The Hunger Games. Kids killing kids. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
literally, it's the
cannibalism,
same
man.
There
thing.
was no more to it than just that.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what I see, and I still
It's
think
not
that
like
inspired what's his
cannibalism.
name to shoot up Sandy Hook. I swear it did. I don't care what people
No,
say.
I mean the killer never read that book. As
Well,
far
that's
as
news to me.
I've
Well, he
read,
didn't have to read the
he
book.
never
There was the
based it
movie.
off of that.
You sure? You sure?
From what I've researched,
All right. All
he
right.
never based it off of those books.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay. And let's see. There was back in the I think it was the early
I-
90s. There was a. Well, I'm sorry.
Sorry, no.
That's okay. That's okay. Let's just move on from that. I shouldn't go there anyway. Let's see. In the early 90s, there was a movie where a Green Beret is kidnapped and he's being hunted by these hunters on a private island. Gee, sounds familiar, doesn't it? Of course, he outsmarts them. Oh, and in a way, the Predator, and I'm talking the Alien Predator.
I was
it's a
gonna
similar
bring that up.
concept. The only difference
Pretty
is.
much.
Yeah, the only difference is it's an alien from outer space that has better technology. That's what it comes down to. Oh, and then there's predators, where those criminals are kidnapped and sent to a predator's hunting ground to be hunted.
Yeah.
Gee, doesn't that sound so familiar?
Yeah.
It's the same plot all over again, and they keep ripping that off. What is it about that plot that says "rip me off"?
I guess just
like different angles.
the cons.
Maybe I don't know.
I guess just because the concept itself was kind of the concept of like, because if you really think about it, humans really are the most like dangerous game because we have the ability to properly think, unlike most animals.
Yeah.
So the idea of a hunter, that's just basically what it is. It's just the whole we can actually think. So it provides a very what's the word? The stakes are high for our protagonists that have to get out. Also, fun fact: Most Dangerous Game inspired paintball, from what I've heard.
Really, it's news to me.
Yeah. Apparently, the guys that created paintball read the book, and they were also hunters, and they were like, I guess they were discussing like their trips, and they were like, we should probably do it. We should probably like read this book, and then they were like, yeah, let's make paintball. That's how we got paintball.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
That's
guys,
cool.
there's one sort of film that I wouldn't mind a live action remake to.
Oh,
Which
what?
one?
The Halloween Tree.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen something about that. Yeah.
Very impressive.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a live action take on this film.
The other reboots that I can't believe exist are also some of the shows that recently come out. Like, you and I have seen Fairly Odd Parents.
I have not seen that, but I have heard terrible things about it.
Don't.
I'm going to quote Peter Griffith on this and say, I'm tough. I've seen only half of the Fairly Odd Parents movie. Done.
I remember in the past they did a live action Fairly Odd Parents with was it Drake Bell?
Drake Bell, yeah, that was the movies. They weren't very good, I don't think, but they were tolerable.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a huge example.
I remember even when I was a kid, I saw that and I was like, this is really weird.
Yeah.
The Fairly Odd Parents reboot pretty much is a huge example of things that go wrong when trying to adapt from a cartoon. And another reason why I say don't reboot Emperor's New Groove, because the animation was meant to be funny in Fairly Odder
Yeah.
and in Yours Moogle, and it doesn't. I mean, and when you add live action characters to it,
Yeah.
it's not funny. It's slow, and the characters are just intolerable.
Yeah. That reminds me of when in that other live action Fairly Odd Parents, you bring up a good point about the animation because the guy, I don't remember who played Crocker
I
in
don't
that
remember
other
either.
live action. Yeah. But when he goes like his Fairly Odd Parents thing, when he does that, it's like, this does not work in live action.
No.
I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Bonnie, you
I-
haven't seen the movies. I've seen clips, and they're bad. But, you know,
Yeah.
But
Fairly
yeah,
Odd is
I've
worse. I'm
seen
not kidding.
Yeah.
I've seen Disney remakes that try to copycat the humor of the original, and it doesn't work. I've seen Fairly Odder Parents where they try to emulate the humor of the original, and it doesn't work.
Mhm.
Nope.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
So. Yeah.
Oh, and
sweet.
speaking of which, yeah, do you know that Alice in Wonderland has been adapted in so many ways, like animation, live action, and all those other stuff? Like, I mean that has been a big franchise media for over years, literal years.
And I
Like,
guess that's another one that
I've seen so many Alice in Wonderland media, especially with live action and animation.
Yeah, that's true.
And most of the time, the live action usually tended to follow the same exact formula that was in the book.
Except for one.
Which one?
That would be, if I'm not mistaken, it was the two-part TV movie. I think it was back in 1997, if I'm not mistaken. I could be off by that.
1999, the one with
I thought that was like 1987.
No, it wasn't 87 because I remember they.
Was it the one with Whoopi Goldberg?
That's
and,
it.
1999.
And Gene Wilder.
1999.
Yeah, 1999. That's it.
That's the
that
first
one was
Alice in Wonderland
actually
movie that I've watched as a kid.
Yeah,
Long before I saw
that's
the Disney one.
Yeah, that one actually changed the formula a little in a good way because they put it down instead of her just not minding her own business and following the rabbit. I mean, she kind of got, in a way, conned into it. But the whole thing was going on was they were trying to build up her confidence so she could do that little performance. And, you know, when she wakes up, she gets that. Because at the end, they say, are you no longer afraid, Alice? That's right. Then you no longer need us. And that's it, you know? Because that was the whole point of what was going on here. Other than the chosen one thing, or not minding my own business in the case of the classic Disney version. That's what got her into that. She didn't mind her own business.
Well, that kind of was similar in the book anyway.
Oh, I know it was. I know, but
following the rabbit just because.
Yeah, I know. That's true. But still, I mean, it's a better concept than that. You know?
And yeah, that's been a series that actually has tried many different formulas. They've even got a TV show called Adventures in Wonderland.
I've seen that.
The Wonderland characters go through the exact dilemma Alice does.
But
what the barnacles?
Do you guys know what the worst adaptation of Wonderland is? Well, if you follow the cartoon hero, he went through this travesty.
I can't quite see it.
Barnacles?
No,
what is
what?
No.
I've seen that cover. I haven't seen it, but I looked at that cover and I'm like, that's not a real movie.
That rings a few bells.
Well,
Joshua,
it was animated with Microsoft Paint on the computer.
Oh.
What is it?
Man, that
it was ripped off from a radio play.
Unbelievable.
Starring Dennis Shore.
Really, really ugly.
Like they used the whole audio from that radio play and just it's like art theft.
That is plagiarism. That is total theft right there. That is total theft. I mean, I'm seeing people like try to bring to life some ideas. Like there was the Jeff Wayne's version of War of the Worlds. Well, technically Jeff Wayne himself was doing that, but but I don't know if he ever finished his musical version of War of the Worlds to be done in a CG animation form or not. I've heard a lot of talk about it, but I can't find any straight up videos that cover the whole thing except for a couple things. And I wonder if someone else is doing that, and they do a pretty darn good job too, I might add. But it's just that I don't know if he finished it or not, and that's what's going on here. So that could be an exception. I know a really big exception, and one of these days I've got to cover this, and that would be Ray Harryhausen's last little short, The Tortoise and the Hare.
He
You
made
can
a
actually
tortoise
find
and
it
the
on
hare.
YouTube right now.
I didn't
Yep.
know he
Huh.
did that.
Yeah, I know his last thing was Clash of the Titans, but
Well, this was his last
Man,
little
and
short. It was
He's
based off.
been dead
Ah.
for a decade now.
Yeah,
Ray Harryhausen is very talented.
Jeez,
He
one
was,
of my
he
favorite
was.
I
projects
Father
of
of
his
said
stop
is
Disney
motion.
will not reboot
1
the
million
movie of
years BC
Splash.
and Valley of the Guanji.
Yep,
That features
and-
stop motion dinosaurs and live action backgrounds and all
Yep,
that stuff.
and of course his Sinbad movies. He made the best ones. He really
And
did.
he even
Yeah.
made Tom Hanks' favorite movie, Jason and the Argonauts.
That is
Yeah.
a great film. That really
Yeah,
is.
because like
And-
I said with before Jurassic Park took over the CGI and with dinosaur, I mean
Yep.
Ray Harryhausen has really talent when it comes to using stop motion puppet dinosaurs, and then the dinosaurs looked a lot like dinosaurs that we see in the 90s stuff. Granted, they may not be accurate to the real animal, but at least Harryhausen does put a lot of effort to these dinos, especially with the
does.
Allosaurs, the Ceratosaurs, the Tyrannosaurs, the Triceratops, and even the Styracosaurs, and all
Yep.
the other dinos in the Ray Harryhausen style. Even the Sauropod, which and all those other stuff. So
Yeah, and here's one that you may not know about. He even did a part in a what was his name? It was in a documentary called The Animal World. There was a dinosaur sequence in that one, and it is fantastic. What was his name? He did the Towering Inferno, the same director. Let me look that up.
kind of
I know
reminds
that-
me of the Rite of Spring of Fantasia, but more in a realistic approach where I can understand where Ray is going for in Rite of
Let's
Spring.
see, what was it? Well, I see the title, but I'm not seeing the name behind it. No, that's not it.
Do any of you remember the Rite of Spring from Fantasia?
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
who
Yes.
doesn't? That's
Love
a
it.
masterpiece.
Yeah.
Irwin Allen, that's who it was that made
The
that
segment
special.
that
Yeah.
inspired that diorama from the railroad.
By the way, speaking of Fantasia, guess what? Disney's
Are they remaking? Are they
one of
remaking
the
it?
segments.
Oh, yeah, I know about that. They're doing Night on Bald Mountain.
Yeah, I heard of that.
Oh,
I swear.
It's like what is it? It's like I heard one thing said, hopefully it's just a Van Helsing type of fighting monsters. Maybe we can just have that.
one could only hope.
Yeah.
One of the things I think one of the reasons I'm getting sick of Disney doing remakes, even though I've had a guilty pleasure with some of them, is because I want to see Disney do more. I want to see.
Oh no! Yeah.
Yeah.
If
I
Disney
agree.
had to
As for
do,
now,
one of the stories Mama read to me from the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales was the Wild Swans. Why can't Disney
Oh,
do
I
that?
want Disney to adapt that too.
Turn it into an animated
Exactly.
movie.
Yes.
exactly.
Oh, and by the way, there's one animated version of the Wild Swans that I know about, which was animated by Toei during the 80s. And you should check it
Toei.
out. I think it could be on YouTube, but the whole length is like full length, and the plot feels like something that Disney would do.
Yeah, everything about it. It's pretty much everything that Disney wants. It's a princess movie. It's family. It's fighting for family. And
Right. For
it's
6
got
brothers.
Hmm.
And it has 2 villains in it.
Yeah, that sounds like they could work.
Okay, yeah.
And the villains
Here, guys,
include
I'm,
a witch and her, bratty daughter.
Actually, no. In the original Hans Christian Andersen version, it's the witch and a bishop.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, in the version that from Toei that I'm talking about includes a witch and her bratty daughter who marries the main character's father.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, and if there's
So
if
that
there's
one
one thing
kind
that
of borrowed from the Grimm's fairy tale a little more because in Grimm's fairy tale it had to be 6 years, and in the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale it was actually 11 brothers,
Oh,
and
right.
it did not take years for the main character to make those shirts. It doesn't say how much time it took, but it doesn't say years in specific. The Grimm's fairy tale version absolutely specified years.
Yeah.
And not only was she not allowed to talk in that one, but she couldn't laugh either.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Hans Christian Andersen, all that she was not allowed to do was talk.
Right. But in the Toei version, not only was she allowed to talk, but she can't complain.
Oh yeah. Oh, and if there's one thing that I want from Disney is that for the love of Mesozoics, can we please get more dinosaur media rather than the remakes and all that stuff? Because it's been a while since Disney hasn't been doing much of dinosaur media. Granted, at least they're catching up with TV shows like Giganosaurs, Dino Ranch, and
Moon Knight and the
Be
Double
Regatta,
Dinosaur.
which came out a year ago. But the last thing that they came up with for Disney would be Pixar's The Good Dinosaur, which I also heard that The Good Dinosaur has mixed reviews. Some people like it, some people hate it, while other think it's okay and all that. But I really hope that I really wanted Disney to make a lot of dino media because we haven't gotten those in a while now. Dino
That's
media
true.
that is like this this dinosaur book that my aunt gave me. Yeah, these dinosaurs. Like,
Oh yeah.
dinosaurs, because dinosaurs deserve to get more appearances in the Disney media. It's not just dinosaur. It's not just the Rite of Spring, nor with the Robinsons, and even the TV shows that feature dinosaurs. Because we need more of that. We need more of that, and why not make it like animation or live action between hand drawn, stop motion, and computer animated like that? Because I would like to see that in the
I know
Disney
I would.
with these dinosaurs. So who's with me? Because,
Totally.
Yeah.
What would you guys like to see rebooted? Or I mean, what would you guys like to see Disney work on?
I just need to interrupt for a second here. I wanted to say that I just posted right there and on chat about Ray Harryhausen's final little thing, the Taurus and the Hare. It was taken and just in case anybody isn't aware of this, before he became famous and did all that, he actually was doing little short what you might call a kids series based on fairy tales, like he did Little Red Riding Hood and the Wolf, and that actually looks scary. I'm not kidding, it really does. And he did let's see, just some old ones like the Queen of Hearts and the Knave of Tarts, that sort of thing. And of course, Little Miss Muppet. And his last one on that was going to be the Taurus and the Hare, but he never finished it because Willis O'Brien called him up and he did Mighty Joe Young, and the rest went up from there. Plus, that wasn't giving him he wasn't making any real money out of that at all. However, back in I think it was before he passed away. I can't remember how far before. I think it was like maybe 5 or 6 years. I think I could be off about that one. Well, students at UCLA wanted to try to finish it for him, and under his direction, they did. They even had famous radio DJ and host Gary Owens narrate it. So, yeah, you can actually find it on YouTube. That's the link I sent right there. The bottom one is from the scene from the animal world. I can't get the whole thing on there for some reason. I don't know why they're not doing it. I mean, it's about a 3 or 5 minute segment, but it's a darn good one. So, yeah. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention that before anybody shrugs that off. You might want to look those up. They're very impressive. So anyway, what were you?
So to answer Bonnie's question of what I'd like to see Disney do, I don't want to see them do this because I mean I think we kind of want to forget this. But cool. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
Sorry about that, but yeah, I'm using my phone. That's why. So, they were gonna make a sequel to Dumbo.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. And I know that sequels. Yeah, the sequels were not good. Well, depends. Some were good, some weren't.
It
Yeah.
depends what the show is. Yeah.
I still say
In
which
fact,
one's the worst.
And speaking
Yeah.
of sequels, I'm about to start writing my own top 13 Disney animated sequels countdown video.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be just the animated sequels connected to the, Walt Disney Animation Studios one, but also ones from Disney Toon or Pixar if possible, and also others. But not live action.
Joshua, you're a genius. I think I need to do that video too. I think I should make a video of why Disney should do more dinosaur media because
by the way,
for our
by the way,
memories. Yeah, go ahead, Joshua.
I don't know if you've seen it on YouTube, but Huey Toonmore and Big Jack did a 2-part video of how they would imagine Disney making King Kong as an animated movie.
Holy cow! I've seen that video before. I've seen it. Huh.
And you think that Huey and Jack's ideas are okay?
Yeah, they're pretty good enough. Like King Kong as a hand-drawn movie in the style of Lion King, Tarzan, or The Land Before Time, but in King Kong style.
Right.
So if anything, you gave me an idea, Joshua, because I think I need to make a video of why Disney should do more dinosaur media because those dinosaurs need to be get more attention in the Disney media. It's not just Dinosaur, Meet the Robinsons, the Toy Story franchise, and the Good Dinosaur because we need more of that.
Yep.
Hell, there are other dino media that got attention that is not like Disney related, and they felt like Disney movies like The Land Before Time, The Dino King, the Jurassic Park films.
We're back.
Even if they were live action and like the Jurassic World films and Camp Cretaceous. Not to mention with the Walking With series, Walking with Dinosaurs, Walking with Monsters, and even with Walking with Beast.
I almost wonder if that's kind of the reason Disney has avoided dinosaurs. I mean, they should do more dinosaur movies and be creative with them.
Exactly.
And when Don Bluth did Land Before Time, he didn't copy anybody. He created his own movie.
Right. And he had a main character cast entirely mostly with kids.
Exactly.
Which was something brand new. And I'd like to see Disney do something like that, and especially brand new. There's probably so much more that they could do with a dinosaur franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
If anything,
I'd like to see them try to do something new.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Try to make it like in the same style as PBS's The Dinosaur Show.
That would be awesome.
Or make it like Dinosaur Train, like that kid show, but more emotional and having the heart of the feelings, like something like How to Train Your Dragon, The Good Dinosaur, or The Dino King, both the first film and the sequel, and all that type of stuff.
I would say one thing though: don't try to copy Jim Henson's series Dinosaurs, because that was good on its own, and copying that would be a disaster. Especially that final episode. That's a mistake right there.
And that's something I hope that Disney does not do. I don't want to see Disney copy anymore. I mean, some of the reboots I get, but I want to see them try something new. Like I mentioned in the Little Mermaid review with you, Joshua, if these other different if these novel versions on Kindle could do different versions of the Little Mermaid and still work. Why can't Disney try something brand new with some of their stories? I mean, I don't know what new thing they could do with the Lion King, but I'm pretty sure that if they tried, they could. There's a fanscription that Channel Awesome did on what would have happened if Scar raised Simba, which I think is a unique story.
Right.
So if Disney tried something like that, try looking into retelling a story in a brand new way, like they did with Tangled and like they did with Frozen, that'd be cool.
Not to mention with Hunchback of Notre Dame. Don't forget that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they did something. They turned that story into an ugly duckling. Oh, Jason,
boy.
watch the movie that I will not bother to watch is Hellboy 2019. Yikes!
Yeah.
Even I questioned that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
I
questionable.
stick with Guillermo del Toro's Hellboy.
Yeah. That was the better version, I can assure you. The sequel may not had too much of a cult following, but it was still a lot better than this. It really was. And speaking of that reminds me of something. There is one thing that should be done, when it comes to if anybody feels that they must redo something, don't get political. That doesn't help matters. Case in point, Charlie's Angels remake. They got political
Jeez.
because the director was a feminist. Enough said.
And
So,
Velma,
yeah.
Velma gets way too political in all the wrong ways too, and stupid, just stupid.
Yeah.
And
People.
I,
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
also
sorry. Go
gonna
ahead.
add. I'm also gonna add this. The Little Mermaid also has a moment that I think was unnecessary, and it was the moment where
The memory
where they
spell.
changed the lyrics in Kiss the Girl because they're afraid that
Oh, of course.
Eric's forceful, whereas
Oh,
Eric
boy.
never was forceful. If anything,
No.
the animals were trying to make him kiss her.
Yeah.
I so
Okay. Sorry about that,
I think,
folks.
no problem, Alex.
It's all right.
Yes. I don't know what's going on. I don't know
I
what's
think we were-
going on.
Oh, we were talking about how remakes should not try to be political just to satisfy the audience. And one of the things I mentioned was
Or the
that,
political machine.
I mean,
I mean, the only film that I know that can pull off politicalness is Zootopia.
But here we go again.
very much.
Yeah.
Zootopia knew how to do it, and they knew how to do it just right. Whereas, and that's another thing. When you're retelling a story, you should not be afraid of what the audience thinks. And that includes with Kiss the Girl. And heck, the fact that Pleasure Island is now tamed in the new Pinocchio movie.
Well,
I can forgive the no cigarettes, but
Sure.
root beer, seriously?
Yeah.
Root beer?
Well, that's a tricky thing because
that's not bad compared to actual beer. Like, what makes root beer bad
Yeah.
other than the calories?
Well, keep in mind also in the original Pinocchio, sorry about that. Yeah, they said that playing pool was bad, and and that was because at the time playing pool was considered.
Well, look at Howard Hill said a pool hall was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that.
Yep.
But he had an agenda for that one. Whereas, I guess with Disney, pool represented gambling, but otherwise, they tamed down Pleasure Island just because it was politically correct. And I get wanting to not encourage bad behaviors in kids, but the idea of Pinocchio to begin with was to say, this is bad, don't do it, otherwise this is going to happen to you.
Yep,
Right.
that's true.
And here, Pleasure Island might as well be the wild version of Disneyland.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The only thing that they do wrong in there is throw bricks at clocks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
boy.
there's no agenda to that either. I mean, it's not a bad boy's paradise anymore. It's just
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much.
it's just a rage room
Mm-hmm.
with candies.
Yeah.
And that's not. That took away the point of Pinocchio.
That's better.
Much.
Yeah.
Alex.
All
Nice
right,
framing,
thanks.
Alex.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think Disney reboots need to be careful of as well. Don't try
Yeah.
to satisfy the audience that is trying to make a better society, because we try to be a better society
Mm-hmm.
on our just by looking at these stories and making sure to avoid the mistakes. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot have good character writing without conflict and without sometimes making bad choices. That's why we liked Pinocchio. That's why we liked Mulan. That's why we liked The Little Mermaid, because they were, for lack of a better term, human. They were relatable. They made bad choices,
Mistakes, yeah.
occasionally paid the penalty for it,
Mm-hmm.
but they also knew how to fix their choices.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I will
pretty
give
much.
The Little Mermaid credit, the reboot, that they don't try to make her perfect,
Mhm.
which was something I was scared of.
Mm-hmm.
Mulan, they make her way too perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And Pinocchio, they unintentionally made too perfect also.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, when remakes try to make a perfect character, there's no point in trying to relate to them anymore, because
Yeah.
they've got no conflicts. They've got nothing to worry about because they are perfect. You should wake up perfect. You should be just like that. You should have no conflicts in your life. And if you do have conflicts in your life, there must be something wrong with you. Unintentionally, that's the message that they send.
Among other things, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's what kids can eventually read into. They may not mean to send that message, but unfortunately, when they listen to the public like that, it can work in a good way, but it could also work in a very bad way too.
Not bad after all, and I really hope they don't bother remaking like Hunchback of Notre Dame or something like that.
Actually, that remake is going to happen.
What?
So I heard from Alan Menken's resume. He's going to be teaming up with Schwartz again.
I heard Josh Gad.
Are you telling me that they're remaking Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Yes.
Oh, I've heard that.
I heard Josh Gad might be up for playing Quasimodo. I could kind of see that.
Yeah.
Me too.
That's gonna be. I don't mean to get a little thing here, but that's gonna be tricky because there's a certain word that they can't say anymore.
Tartarus.
No.
Go ahead, say it.
I don't want to say it, but I'm just gonna say it's the G word. Yeah.
I don't remember what that is, but
GAY, I presume.
GIYPIS. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm kind of curious.
Why can't they say that?
Apparently, because the correct term apparently is Romani. That's apparently like the actual term. And apparently that word is like considered. It's
kind of like what my friends at theater did when they called the Indians braves or warriors.
Yeah. It's kind. Apparently, there's like a lot of history with racism. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
In Europe, so it's going to be very tricky for them to do that.
That's the other thing too. If you don't confront the issue
and you just beat around the bush about it, then how are you going to show that it's not okay?
Yep.
If there's no conflict, then what's the point of telling a good story or showing a good message in the story? That's one of the things I like about Hunchback of Notre Dame. It shows what Frollo does and the wrong, and it shows why it's wrong.
Yep.
If they just made him a saint and raise Quasimodo right, and also treat Esmeralda fairly, then where's the conflict within his soul?
Exactly.
You have to show the dangers of what people can be like and how to confront it. And Hunchback of Notre Dame does a beautiful job.
What's up, buddy?
Showing reality and confronting it and showing you can confront it too.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm sorry. I hate to say this, but I'm going to have to go. I got to get up early in the morning. And Georgie here says it's time for me to go.
Head out too, but, well, does anybody want to give any last thoughts about remakes?
Well, I forgot about Prince/OR Planet and the emotional thoughts, so my bad. And nice having you, movie fan. So yeah.
Yep.
And
I guess just slow it down. And Disney, make the if you're gonna remake movies, can you give us ones that like we haven't, like give us stuff like Atlantis or Treasure Planet, like those ones. Like, why do we need Aladdin? Why do we need Mulan and all these ones? They were already great. Give us ones that like that.
Not to mention with Brother Bear and Dinosaur. If Disney could remake Brother Bear and Dinosaur, at least they should be a lot better around here and do something different with them rather than copy pasted stuff.
Or heck, Disney should make a full-length animated Mickey Mouse movie for the theaters.
Yes.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
I would pay to see that.
Because if Mickey is the most famous character in Disney history, make more films about him for the theaters.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything since the Three Musketeers.
Right, and that was straight to video.
Well, mostly like TV stuff, but nothing in like movies really.
Bring back Mickey. For goodness sake, bring back for 100 years.
Yeah. I mean, the last time Mickey Mouse was ever on the big screen, not counting Fantasia 2000, was The Prince and the Pauper, which preceded Rescuers Down Under.
Yeah, that's right.
And also Get a Horse does not count either, because that was just a short that preceded Frozen.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, he made a cameo appearance in a Goofy movie.
Well, yeah, but still.
Yeah, I know that's barely anything. Yeah.
Cameo is not
like
much.
an Easter egg.
No.
Yeah.
He needs to be a main character in a movie.
I know.
Right.
Someone had to say it. That's all. So.
Yeah. So there's your idea, Disney. Make a Mickey Mouse movie.
And for everyone else.
And the remakes that we've already mentioned, like Alex and I, like he says that he wants Atlantis and Treasure Planet, while I want Brother Bear and Dinosaur. Right, Alex?
Yeah.
At least we're in the same team.
Yeah.
And for the rest of the wood, get original stuff here.
Like Wild Swans.
Yeah. Yeah, Wild Swans. Yeah. Let's see. There's the Triad Trilogy series of books. You could cover that for crying out loud, and that's good. Seriously. You have to look it up. It's great.
And Brothers Grimm have even more fairy tales that you could cover. Heck, Mother Holly. You could cover Mother Holly. That's a moralistic story.
Yep.
Or they could just revive their Jack and the Beanstalk idea and just, just pick it back up.
Gigantic, yes. Bring that.
As Ian Malcolm says, life cannot be contained. Life breaks free. Life finds a way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I thank you guys so much for coming to join, and I loved hearing your different ideas about the remake.
Yeah. Yeah.
No
Again, I apologize for my thing. Hopefully, I can fix it later.
It's no problem. I'm glad that you could join. And So great
Yeah.
to see you again, Alex.
No problem.
Yeah, you too.
Oh, and not to mention, I do live streams on my channel, and if you guys want to be part of my live streams I make, I'll probably invite you guys in, so that way we can talk more media stuff like movies, TV, documentary, animation, anything.
Power
Because I've
Rangers.
gotten everything on my
Yeah.
channel, by the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just like Bonnie, just like Joshua, just like Movie Fan, just like Alex, but everyone else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I can
Well, as
say
long
that
as I'm
much.
not closing, I'd be up for it.
Yeah.
No problem.
If I'm free,
And
definitely.
until then,
Same.
I'm probably going to head off, and it's nice meeting you guys for the first time.
Yeah.
Great to meet
Yep.
you too.
All right.
Same.
ET75.
Mhm.
Yep.
No problem. Catch you guys later.
Okay.
Later.
Bye.
I gotta go too.
Yep.
Later, Joshua. And later, Alex. And
Bye.
Bye, Alex.
right, and
Yep.
see you, movie fan.
Bye, Bonnie. See you next time.
See you then.
Signing
Bonnie
off,
comes to a
everybody.
unicycle saying good night, everybody.